Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti, Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Welcome once again, dear Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. After a significant gap, we are resuming our series of talks on Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Once again, I'm very thankful to Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu for kindly being the host of this series of talks. And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu has been with myself since the beginning of the Upadeshamritam series. And I'm so happy to have such a wonderful friend as him, who has been our host consistently, not only for Sri Upadeshamritam, but also this series of talks on Shri Siksastakam. So I'm very grateful to Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, and I'm very grateful also to Param Karuna Prabhu, who is the co-host, and to all of you wonderful devotees who are a part of this journey in exploring Sri Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Without further delay, I'll share my screen so that we can begin exploring the Siksastakam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today is session number 47, as we can all see on the screen. As usual, there is a verse that has been composed for every verse of the Siksastakam. So this verse is glorifying the Siksastakam, and this verse is as follows. प्रणवेन कृतं धन्यं वेदैस्त्रेतायुगं तथा गीतया द्वापरं धन्यं कलिः शिक्षाष्टकेन च प्रणवेन कृतं धन्यं कृतं satyayuga dhanyam was blessed with pranav omkar, because in satyayuga the main process for attaining perfection was dhyan yoga, and this dhyan yoga was mainly done by meditating on the sacred syllable pranav, omkar. So the Vedas mainly manifested in the form of this syllable in the Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, the complete four Vedas were manifest in the form of the process of yajna. So Veda is Treta Yugam Tatha. So Treta Yuga was blessed with the four Vedas. Gitaya Dvaparam Dhanyam, and Dwapar Yuga was blessed with the direct words of Bhagavan himself in the form of Bhagavad Gita. But Kali Yuga, seeing that Kali Yuga should not remain behind, Kalihi Shikshashtakena cha, and Kali Yuga has been blessed directly with the words of Shri Bhagavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the form of Shri Shikshashtakam. So these are the words of Bhagavan in the age of Kali Yuga, and we are very happy to study these words. Also, we have a practice of discussing a verse which glorifies Harinam in every session. So here is a verse glorifying Harinam. This verse is as follows. Vidveshadapi govindam damagoshatmajah smaran shishupalo gatah swargam kim punastat parayanah. Vidveshad api govindam damaghosha atmajah smaran shishupal. If Shishupal, the son of Damaghosh, attained the supreme destination, even while remembering Krishna out of envy, the Sanskrit says Vidveshadapi. So if Shishupal could attain the highest destination even while remembering Shri Krishna out of envy, Kim Punah, what then can be said for those Tatparayana who are devotedly dedicated to him? So this is a wonderful verse glorifying Bhagwan's remembrance, the remembrance of his names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. And we are once again going to sing the verse which is the center of our discussion. And this is the fourth verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. I have specified previously that this verse is in a particular meter, and I have specified the name of the meter as Viyogini. And when we started the fourth verse, I had given the details of this particular meter, Viyogini. So those devotees who are interested in knowing about this meter can go back to the first talk on the fourth verse, and then they will see the details for the meter Viyogini. But once again, I will sing this verse, and this is a very sweet meter. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarīṁ, kavitāṁ va jagadīśa kāmaye, mama janmani janmanīśvare, bhavatād bhaktir ahaitukī tvayi. So, this is the fourth verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Here is the Anvay. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, can you please read the Anvay in sequence?
O Jagannatha, I desire neither wealth nor followers, nor a beautiful spouse, nor poetic ability. In each and every birth of mine, let there be causeless bhakti towards you, the Supreme.
Wonderful. So, here is the same translation arranged in the form of a sentence. And this is the fourth verse spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, in the previous session, which was session number 46, we had started our discussion on na dhanam, that I do not desire wealth. And then I had specified what is the meaning of dhanam, and is it really that we need zero dhanam? Do we need zero wealth? I'll do a small summary or recap of some of the important points that we did last time. But before we do that, there is a very important term in this particular verse. Mahaprabhu says na dhanam, and Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, what is the meaning of na dhanam? Please tell me.
No wealth.
No wealth.
No wealth.
And then he says na janam, no followers or no relatives. And then he says na sundarīṁ, nor a beautiful spouse. And then he says kavitāṁ va. The na is assumed, that I do not also want good poetic ability. Now, the most important term in the verse is after jagadīśa, and that is kāmaye. Actually, all of these are kama. All of these are material desires. Therefore, Mahaprabhu says kāmaye. Dhanam, wealth, is it an end goal or is it a means to attain an end goal? Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is wealth?
I think it can be both, but it should be a means to an end.
Okay. Wealth by itself is mainly a means to attain the goal of something else. Because a person cannot eat money, or a person cannot become happy simply by having paper currency alongside him. The paper currency or the currency in the bank or the gold or all of these forms of wealth, they ultimately are used as instruments in order to get happiness through sense gratification. So na dhanam kāmaye, I do not desire. And kama, this desire, is one of the four goals of the human form of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And Mahaprabhu himself is saying, Na kāmaye, I do not desire. The term kama comes from the verbal root kamu kantau. The verbal root is for desire. This desire has been given a wonderful name in the Upanishads. The same kama is known in the Upanishads as Eshana. And you can see the term in front of you, Eshana. Eshana is nothing but kama or desire. In the Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, there are Eshanas described, there is kama described. And the Vedas also say, especially the Rig Veda says, that in the beginning of creation there was kama. The Rig Veda says, kamas tadagre samavartatadhi. In the beginning of the creation, kama, desire, arose in the mind of the Supreme Creator. What was the desire? Eko ham bahusyam prajayayeti. Alone I am, let me become many. Kama is the first thing to appear in the mind of the Supreme Creator in the universe. It is but natural that kama also arises in the minds of the living entities. As soon as a living entity takes birth, they are eagerly searching for food or shelter or protection from their parents. As soon as a child takes birth, a newborn is immediately put in close proximity to their mother because the newborn is crying and searching for some shelter. Kama, the first desire, appeared in the heart of the Supreme Creator. And because of this, all the living entities also are filled with kama. This kama is known as Eshana in the Brihad Aranyak Upanishad. In the Upanishad, it is specified that there are three Eshanas, three desires, which summarize all the millions of desires that living entities have. The first desire is called Vitta Eshana. Vitta Eshana. Vitta refers to wealth, also to prosperity in general. Vitta Eshana, the desire for wealth. Second is Putra Eshana. Putra Eshana, the desire for Putra. And usually Putra is translated as son or progeny, but it also includes the desire for a wife or a spouse. And the third is Loka Eshana. Loka Eshana, the desire for elevation in this world and ultimately elevation to a higher status or a higher planet. These three are the primary desires of the living entities, especially those who are in the human form of life. Vittaishana, Putraishana, Lokaishana. For humans, these three desires are very, very important. Below the human species of life, there are animals and birds who are satisfied simply by getting sufficient food and shelter. But human beings have these three primary desires: Vittaishana, Putraishana, Lokaishana. And in the Brihad Aranyak, Vartik Sar, these three are defined as follows. Putraishaneti putrartham darasvikarvanchanam कर्मणां साधने वित्ते तृष्णा वित्तैषणामता लोकैषणेति देवादि लोकार्थोपासनार्थिता न कश्चिद् अन्यः संसार उक्तादस्त्येषणात्रयात् पुत्रैषणा इति पुत्रार्थं दारस्वीकारवाञ्छनम्. Putraishana is the desire to beget progeny by accepting a spouse. Karmanam sadhane vitte, Trishna vittaishana mata. And vittaishana, is the desire to get wealth. And this wealth is the means to execute all activities, all karma in this world. And lokashana, and finally, the desire to do everything in order to elevate oneself to a godly status, even in this world. And finally, to the godly planets, is known as lokashana. And na kaschid anya samsara uktad asti eshanatrayat. Besides these three eshanas, there is no separate existence of the world. Especially for human beings, these are the three main desires. And we will see that Mahaprabhu also has focused the verse on these three eshanas. Na dhanaṁ kāmaye. When Mahaprabhu says, I do not desire dhanam, Mahaprabhu is speaking of giving up the eshana, the desire for vitta. When he says, na janam kāmaye, I do not want followers or relatives, which means loka eshana, the desire to become great by having good followers, good relatives, etc. Na sundarīṁ, I do not want a beautiful spouse. This is putra eshana. Putra eshana is the desire to be married to a wonderful, beautiful spouse and to have good progeny. And kavitāṁ, and I do not wish to have the popularity of being a wonderful poet. This is again loka eshana. Finally, Mahaprabhu again highlights loka eshana because loka eshana is the final desire in the living entity. There are many living entities who give up vitta eshana and putra eshana. They give up the desire to chase wealth. They give up family life. But finally, one desire remains within them. Loka eshana. Let me be remembered as a great personality. Let me not die in obscurity. Such a desire is present even within very elevated souls. This is called Loka eshana. And Mahaprabhu says all these eshanas, Vitta eshana, Putra eshana, Loka eshana, na kāmaye, I do not desire. We were focusing on na dhanam. And Mahaprabhu says, na dhanam, I do not desire, I do not ask for wealth. Previously, in the previous sessions, we have understood that Shri Rupa Goswami gives a more balanced and more refined understanding of this concept. Because if na dhanam means I want zero wealth, then each and every one of us will have to give up all of their wealth. So what is the meaning of na dhanam? Shri Rupa Goswami says that one of the 64 limbs of bhakti is to have only that much wealth and prosperity which is required to keep oneself happy on the path of bhakti. So Shri Rupa Goswami says, Yavad Artha Anuvartita, Yavad Artha Anuvartita. And Yavad Artha Anuvartita means to accept as much as needed for happy execution of the path of bhakti, for joyous execution of the path of bhakti. And when will one be happy? When one's own material requirements are satisfied and when one's family's requirements are satisfied. That is the bare minimum that one needs in order to maintain a balanced life. This is for the householders. For those who are renounced, they only need to have that much wealth by which they can take care of themselves because they do not have an immediate family to take care of. So Sri Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, this is the 8th limb of bhakti. Yavad Artha Anuvartita, accept as much as you need. Now, there is a big difference many devotees misunderstand this. Many devotees say, interpret this as earn as much as you need. Sri Rupa Goswami is not saying earn as much as you need. He is saying accept as much as you need. Because sometimes income comes from various sources because of previous good karma. And we will discuss this today. But even if you have surplus wealth, even if we have surplus income, it is our choice as to how much we accept in our day-to-day life. Yavad artha anuvartita. So accept for one's own use as much as we need for keeping us happy on the path of bhakti. Shri Rupa Goswami composes a verse and says, Yavat asyat svanirvaha svikurya tavadarthavit adhikye nyunatayam cha chyavade paramarthatah. Yavata syat svanirvaha svikurya tavad arthavit. An intelligent soul. And Sri Rupa Goswami says arthavit. Sri Rupa Goswami doesn't restrict it to dhana, only to wealth. He says arthavit, all sorts of prosperity. We will see what are all sorts of prosperity. But an intelligent soul who knows the science of artha, who knows the science of prosperity, should only accept as much as needed for their bhajan. Adhikye, anything more, nyunatayam cha, or anything less, chyavate paramarthatah, will cause a person to fall away from attaining the ultimate goal of life. So, the eighth limb of bhakti is to accept finances and prosperity according to one's genuine need for keeping oneself peacefully situated on the path of bhakti. Believe it or not, this is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti, which means proper management of artha. Artha I have highlighted here in red color. Proper management of one's wealth and resources contributes to development of bhakti. You can see this is the eighth limb of bhakti. Yavad artha anuvartita. Hence, considering this to be a limb of bhakti, devotees should never neglect their financial planning and management, knowing it to be directly connected to bhakti. And if anybody asks you how is financial planning connected to bhakti, we can always tell devotees that it is listed as the eighth limb amongst the 64 limbs. Yavad artha anuvartita. Therefore, proper financial management, proper financial planning leads to happiness and encouragement on the path of bhakti. Poor financial management, poor financial planning leads either to excess or to denial, both of which cause one to fall away from the path of bhakti. This is very clearly specified here by Shri Rupa Goswami. And we had discussed this verse in the previous session, but I am giving some additional insights into the same verse today. Therefore, dear devotees, when Mahāprabhu says na dhanaṁ, for most individuals, the meaning is na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. I do not ask for wealth which is beyond my adhikar, which is beyond my eligibility. This is the meaning of the verse for most individuals. There may be a few rare exceptions who can survive with zero wealth. We are not speaking about those rare exceptions. We are speaking about the majority of individuals. And the practical reality is that most of the world is dependent upon dhana, is dependent upon wealth. And there is a wonderful verse about this reality. Vayo vriddhastapo vriddha jnana vriddhascha ye pare te sarve dhana vriddhasya dvari tishtanti kinkara. Vayo vriddhas. Those blessed with longevity. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what is the meaning of longevity? Can you please tell us?
It means living for a long time.
Living for a long time. Wonderful. So those blessed with a long life. Tapo vriddha, those blessed with austerities. Jnana vriddhascha ye pare, and those blessed with knowledge. Te sarve, all these blessed individuals stand as menial servants on the door of the individual who is blessed with wealth. This is the reality of the world. And this verse is speaking the reality that somebody may be blessed with long life, somebody may be blessed with immense austerities, somebody may be blessed with immense knowledge, but all of them need artha, all of them need prosperity in order to carry out their livelihood in this world. So there are many individuals who have the opportunity to earn wealth according to their adhikar, but in an immature state of mind, they give up this by saying na dhanam, and they understand na dhanam as shunya dhanam, zero wealth. And later in life, they have to stand on the doors of people who are dhanavriddha, people who are wealthy. But that is also to stand on the doors of an individual who is wealthy and to beg for wealth is not such a good situation to be in life. Therefore, when Mahaprabhu says na dhanam, it means na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. I do not want wealth which is beyond my adhikar. Srila Prabhupada also specifies this reality in a particular talk that he gave in Shri Vrindavan. Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, kindly read what Srila Prabhupada says.
Money has got its use. Just like in our Krishna consciousness movement, we get money also. We are spending for spreading Krishna consciousness. Our need is very great. People will be surprised what we are expending per month. We have got more than 100 branches all over the world, and each branch there is expenditure. In Los Angeles, we spend $20,000 per month. In New York, we spend $10,000 per month, or more than that. Similarly, on average, we spend not less than $10,000 per each branch. But we have got calculation. We are spending $70,000 per month. So Indian exchange means 7 lakhs of rupees. So we need money.
So it's very, very clear. Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the practical reality of how even the temples have to run. Although in the morning in the temples we say na dhanam, na janam, but when it comes to practical reality, Srila Prabhupada specifies that dhanam is needed and janam followers are also needed in order to function. Not only on an institutional level, but also on an individual level, we all need dhanam. We all need money to carry out our livelihood. And therefore, Bhishma Dev says this in the Mahabharata. I had specified this verse last time too, but I am repeating this verse. Arthasya purusho daso dasastvartho na kasyachit iti satyam maharaja baddhosmyarthena kauravai. The Pandavas wanted Bhishma to join their side, and they had come out of courtesy to ask him that please will you fight on our side. They knew he will say no, but just out of courtesy they asked him. And then Bhishma said, Arthasya Purusho Daso. O Maharaj, Yudhishthir, every human is a servant of Artha, wealth, and on the other hand, Artha, wealth is not a servant of anyone. Iti Satyam, this is the plain truth. O Maharaj, that Baddhosmi Arthena Kauravai, that I, Bhishma, am bound by the Artha given to me by the Kauravas. Now, Artha here has been translated as wealth, but Artha also has a much broader meaning, which we will see today. And it is this artha, which is provided by one ashram to all the remaining ashramas. And Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, which ashram is the one which earns and provides artha to other ashramas?
The Grihastha ashram.
The Grihastha ashram. Therefore, in the Manusmriti, it is said, Yatha nadi nadah sarve samudre yanti samsthitim tathaivaashraminah sarve grihasthe yanti samsthitim. Yatha, just as nadi nada, all rivers and canals, sarve, all of them, samudre yanti samsthitim, finally take shelter of the ocean. Tathaiva, similarly, ashraminah sarve, individuals of all other ashramas, finally take shelter of one individual, and that individual is the grihastha, the householder who earns money. Therefore, especially householders should understand what is the meaning of na dhanam. Because if householders make a mistake in understanding what is na dhanam, then it is very easy to fall away from the path of bhakti. And therefore, Maharaj Manu says that Grihastha ashram is the greatest ashram if you properly manage your wealth and if you properly earn and donate according to dharma. He says, Sarvesham api chaitesham Veda smriti vidhanatah Grihastha uchyate shreshtah Tatrine bibhartihi Sarvesham api cha etesham. Amongst all ashramas, Veda smriti vidhanatah grihastha, that grihastha ashram which is according to directions of Shruti and Smriti, according to the scriptures, is the best of all. This ashram, grihastha ashram, is the best since it supports the remaining three ashramas. Satrin etan bibhartihi. It supports the remaining three ashramas. Therefore, in the Manusmriti, the Grihastha ashram has been specified as the greatest ashram since it supports the rest of the ashramas by giving dhanaṁ, by giving artha, by giving wealth and resources. And Mahaprabhu himself had many followers who had plenty of dhana. Let's remember a few followers of Mahaprabhu who had a lot of dhana. The first follower is Shri Shivananda Sen. He had immense amount of wealth. And his dear son, Shri Paramananda, who later became known as Kavi Karnapur, was one of the acharyas of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. His father is Shri Shivananda Sen. Such a wealthy householder that he sponsored the pilgrimage of many individuals who wanted to go from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri. Mahaprabhu himself greatly praised Shri Shivananda Sen and assigned him this seva of helping the pilgrims who wish to travel to Jagannath Puri. Did Mahaprabhu give him an instruction of na dhanam, that give up all your wealth? So the answer is no. Shri Shivananda Sen has been given an adhikar, has been given an eligibility. So for him, the meaning of na dhanam is different than what it is for a renunciate. Another wealthy follower is Shri Maladhar Vasu, also known as Gunaraj Khan, who is the author of Shri Krishna Vijay. Mahaprabhu was deeply pleased with Shri Gunaraj Khan. And Srila Prabhupada specifies in the purport that he had such great wealth. He had forts and palaces, and those forts and palaces built by Gunaraj Khan are even present today. A very wealthy follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, there is also Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who is described as being a wealthy and a very rasika, connoisseur of all the fine material enjoyments. He used to wear various rings, having various gems embedded in those rings in the fingers. And when he sat on a particular swing, his seat was decorated with wonderful silk covers, and he himself would wear wonderful garments. And then, in this state of existence, Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi externally appeared like a very materialistic person. But Mahaprabhu did not say to him, Na dhanam, give up all your wealth. Of course, there is Maharaj Pratap Rudra himself, who was an ardent follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the king of Jagannath Puri. And Mahaprabhu did not say even to him, Na dhanam, give up all your wealth. And of course, the very person to whom Mahaprabhu is speaking the Siksastakam, one of the two individuals is Shri Rai Ramanand, who is the wealthy minister of King Pratap Rudra. So, even in amongst Mahaprabhu's own followers, many of them were blessed with various levels of wealth. And according to their level of wealth, they were carrying out their individual devotional practice. And the meaning of na dhanam, therefore, is na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. I do not want wealth which is beyond my adhikar. So, not only have we seen this from Sri Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, not only have we seen this from the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, but we have also seen this in the lives of the personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as to how we have to interpret the instruction of na dhanam. And it is very clear now what is the meaning of na dhanam, especially for those who are householders. Even for those who are renounced, they also need some wealth. No, na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. I do not want wealth which is beyond my adhikar, beyond my eligibility on this path of bhakti. So, this is the meaning. I do not ask for wealth which is beyond my adhikar. Na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. And not only money I had specified, Sri Rupa Goswami expands it into artha, yavad artha anuvartita. We don't simply need money. We don't simply need digits in a bank account. We need much more than that for happiness. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, if you have immense amount of money in the bank account is giving a big digit. But if there is no family to enjoy with, if there are no friends to enjoy with, does that money give sufficient happiness? Please tell me.
No.
No. Therefore, artha is not just money. And I had specified this last time. Vatsyayan Muni says, what is the meaning of artha? Vatsyayan Muni says, Vidya. Vidya is knowledge. So the attainment and increase of knowledge. Bhumi, land is also a form of wealth. Hiranya, gold and other precious metals and gems. Pashu, domestic animals. Dhanya, grains. Bhanda, utensils. Upaskara, household articles. Mitra, friends, relatives, adinam, etc. To attain these and to increase these is known as artha. So this is the holistic definition of what we need for material satisfaction. And ensuring proper material satisfaction. And the reason why I'm getting into material satisfaction is because ensuring proper material satisfaction is the eighth limb of bhakti amongst the 64 limbs. That is the reason why we are discussing this in such great detail. The verse is just saying na dhanam. I do not desire wealth. And I can do a plain vanilla translation of na dhanam and say Mahaprabhu says no wealth. But the next time devotees go to the temple in the morning, they say na dhanam. And immediately in the afternoon, they find out that not only the temple is in need of wealth, but the individuals in the temple are also in need of wealth. At that time, the verse will not make sense, and therefore it is needed to explain the verse in detail in order to understand what is the meaning of na dhanam. Therefore, the Vedic culture teaches us to have a very holistic view of life, and this holistic view is also adopted by Sri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sri Rupa Goswami, when he specified the eighth limb of bhakti, Sri Rupa Goswami could have said Artha Shunyata, zeroness of wealth, is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti. But did he say Artha Shunyata or did he say Yavad Arthanuvartita? So Sri Rupa Goswami said Yavad Arthanuvartita. Take as much as you need. And he did not give one yardstick for everybody. Because what is good for an ant is not good for an elephant. And what is good for an elephant is not good for an ant. We all need different levels of vidya, bhumi, hiranya, pashu, dhanya, bhanda, upaskara, mitra. What will work for me will not work for Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. What will work for him will not work for me. So therefore, Sri Rupa Goswami trusts the intelligence of all the devotees and says, I trust you will be able to determine the exact point at which you have sufficient artha, and you will maintain that point so that you can carry out your bhakti nicely. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of the songs that he composed, he said this thing, that Jivana sahaj jaye, bhakti badha nahi paye. In Kalyana Kalpataru, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this, and I am highlighting this, where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jivana sahaj jaye, bhakti badha nahi paye, tad upaya karo ho sandhan. Wonderful. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, please read this part of the translation.
Search for that lifestyle in which your spiritual life can be executed easily and automatically, free from any disturbing obstacles to pure devotion.
Wonderful. Now, he is leaving this decision to each and every one of us. Each and every one of us has to do this, to search for a lifestyle which will be conducive to the path of bhakti. Jivana sahaj jai. Life should pass easily. Sahaja, easily. Bhakti badha nahi paye. There should be no badha, no obstacle to the execution of bhakti. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, if I were to tell you that by doing so and so, your life will pass peacefully and happily, would you like to take that particular lifestyle?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Of course, it sounds good. But the aim is not simply Jivana Sahaj Jai, life should be easy. The second part is, why should life be easy? So that Bhakti Badha Nahi Paye. There should be no obstacle on the path of Bhakti. That is the reason for making life easy. Tad upaya karoho sandhan. Sandhan, you have to aim. Sandhan means when an archer aims. So that is called sandhan. So tad upaya karoho sandhan. You aim for that lifestyle. This is what Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. All the acharyas here speaking in one single line. So the wonderful. Now, there are some individuals who say that money will come automatically. Therefore, I do not need to work for it. Whatever is written within my fortune will automatically come to me. I need not work for it. These people are called bhagyavadi. Bhagyavadi means they are fortune dependent. And they often give the following Praman. Yad abhavi na tad bhavi, bhavi chenna tadanyatha, iti chinta vishagdhoyam magadah kim na piyate. Yad abhavi na tad bhavi. What is not supposed to happen will not happen. Bhavi chen, and whatever is going to happen, na tadanyatha, cannot be prevented. Iti chinta vishagdhoyam agadaha. This wonderful thought is the medicine that destroys the poison of all worries. Kim na piyate, why not drink this medicine? So those who are bhagyavadis, those who just say, I do not need to put any effort in the world. Whatever will happen, automatically it will come. Now, if a particular devotee is of the nirapeksha category, he has become so elevated that he has attained prema, this attitude may suit such a devotee. But for those devotees who are still on the platform of executing sadhana, this attitude is not so good. Some effort, some endeavor is required to earn wealth. Actually, providence depends on effort. This is the siddhanta that all Shastra has given. Yatha yekena chakrena narathasya gatir bhavet evam purushakarena vina daivam na siddhyati. Yatha hi ekena chakrena. Just as a chariot cannot move properly on a single wheel, na rathasya gatir bhavet. A chariot needs two wheels to move properly. Evam, similarly, purushakarena, providence, daivam, providence cannot give the desired result without purushakar, without proper effort. Even providence cannot give proper result without effort. And I'll give you a very simple example. For example, let's say Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, today you go walking on the street, and on the street you find a $100 currency bill. Prabhu, do you call it providence or do you call it effort? What would you call it?
Providence.
Providence. But even for that providence, you have to bend down and pick up that currency note. So unless you put the effort of bending down and picking up that currency note, even that $100 will not come to you. Rameshwar Mahaprabhu, if you don't put the effort of bending down and picking it up, will the $100 come to you?
No.
No. So, at least bare minimum effort is required to earn what is within one's providence. That effort part should not be neglected by the Vaishnavas. Of course, as Vaishnavas, we don't believe in Ugra Karma, working so hard that we lose sight of Bhakti. But at the same time, we also do not believe in Alasya, such laziness that even providence doesn't come to us. So, therefore, effort is needed to unlock what providence has in store for us. And what is actually providence today is nothing but effort that was put in previous lives. A wonderful verse. Purva janma kritam karma taddhaivamiti kathyate tasmat purushakarena yatnam kuryādatandritah. Purva janma kritam karma. Karma, good or bad from previous lives. Tad daivam iti kathyate, manifests in the current life as providence. Now, if somebody is intelligent, they don't just want to exhaust providential prosperity from past lives. They will also want to earn something in this life so that in the next life also they can have something to enjoy. Tasmat purushakarena yatnam kuryat. Thus, one should diligently put efforts in this life without falling prey to laziness. Because efforts in this life will lead to good providence in the future lives. For example, if there is an individual who has a son or a daughter and he gives property as inheritance to the son or daughter, he is ensuring that just as he gave to his son or daughter within time, similarly, he will also receive some property as inheritance in due course of time in their next life. The devotees, it's very important to understand. Put efforts today so that tomorrow's providence will be good, favorable to us. And do not put efforts today, the same providence does not become favorable, and we have to put extra efforts in order to attain that financial security. So, providence is nothing but effort that was put in previous lives, and therefore put effort in the current life so that in case there is a future life, there will be providence favorable to us. And whatever wealth one has attained, whether through providence or through hard work in this life, one must keep one's wealth very pure. And this verse cannot be stressed enough. A wonderful verse from the Smriti. Sarveshamev shauchanam artha shaucham param smritam yorthe shuchir hisha namridvari shuchi. Sarvesham eva shauchanam, of all forms of purity. Artha shaucham param smritam. Artha shaucha, purity of artha, purity of wealth and prosperity is the topmost. Yo arthe shuchi, a person who's pure in acquiring wealth. He, sashuchi, that person is pure. Namridvari shuchi. Someone who simply bathes profusely with water, soap, etc., but lacks financial purity, that person remains unclean, all despite their so-called external cleanliness. It's a very important thing to understand that when we earn wealth through pure means, that wealth supports us in this life and in the future lives. And any wealth that is stolen from somebody else, any wealth that is taken beyond one's adhikar, any wealth which is not properly utilized, that wealth is definitely going to be the cause of distress sooner or later. So, it's very important to understand not only for individuals but also for uh, bigger organizations and institutions. When wealth is taken, it should be taken in a shuchi, in a proper manner. And if there is any excess wealth beyond one's adhikar, that excess wealth should be distributed, given away as charity. So, if one does not maintain this financial purity, one will definitely become affected by what Shri Jiva Goswami calls vitta shathya, cheating tendency in relationship with money. And he will elaborate this. We will see the statements of Shri Jiva Goswami shortly. So, Artha Shaucha, one of the main factors in earning Artha is to keep one's sources of earning very pure. Question arises, what is pure? What is dharmic? What are the dharmic sources of wealth? And this is a very important question, and it is answered in a very simple way in the same Manusmriti. Saptavittagama dharmya dayo labha krayojaya prayogah karma yogascha satpratigraha evacha. Sapta Vitta Agama Dharmya. Know this, dear devotees. 7 forms of earning are in line with Dharma. Please be confident about these 7. When this wealth comes to us, this is in line with Dharma. First, Daya, inheritance. Anything which came as inheritance to us was Dharma for us. It will not lead to adharma. It was Dharma. It was justified source of income for us. Why? Because we have put the effort for it in previous lives. Hence, it has come walking to us by itself. Daya, inheritance. Second, labh, sudden fortune. Sometimes you are digging, in your courtyard or your backyard, you may find some coins, some golden coins, some silver coins. Sudden fortune you find. Sudden fortune, which you are sure it doesn't belong to anybody who is currently alive. So suddenly you're walking on the street, you found some money, but you can't trace the person who dropped it. Sudden fortune, daiva. So this is also considered by the smritis as labh, that it is another form of dharmic wealth. Kraya. Now something which you purchased. Let's say you purchase some resources by giving money, because money itself is all not artha. There are many forms of artha, utensils, furniture, etc. So anything which you purchased by giving money which was earned by dharma, that also is justified for you. Jaya, for a kshatriya, wealth conquered by defeating an enemy in a dharmic battle, that is also dharmic wealth. Because the Pandavas defeated the Kauravas in a dharmic battle, and the wealth which they won is their dharmic wealth. Prayoga, very important, return on investment. Any return on investment is also considered as dharmic wealth. Sixth, karma yoga. Any work that you do, any agriculture or business that you do, money which is earned through work or business is known as karma yoga, justified wealth. And sat pratigraha, wealth received as a dharmic gift. These seven are dharmic sources of wealth for which we do not need to think twice about whether this is dharmic or not. So, if we are earning wealth in one of these seven ways, the Smriti literature says it is dharmic, it is within your adhikar of dharma. Now, adhikar of dharma is a separate thing, and adhikar of bhakti is a separate thing. I have said this previously. According to dharma, you may be getting $1 million as inheritance. That is your dharma adhikar. But for your bhakti, you may not need $1 million. For your bhakti, you may only need $50,000. So dharma adhikar is different and bhakti adhikar is different. Please try to understand, dear Vaishnavas. That $1 million that you got as inheritance was not adharma, it was dharma. But how much do you need for happily situating yourself in bhakti? That is in the domain of bhakti. Please keep these two things separate. The wealth which is coming through dharmic sources will not lead to any negative results. But there is no guarantee that it will lead to bhakti. Therefore, dharma adhikar is a separate consideration. Bhakti adhikar is a separate consideration here. The reason why I am giving here dharma adhikar, which sources of wealth are pure, is so that devotees don't get confused about what is proper wealth and what is improper wealth. These are proper sources of wealth. Now, the Smriti literature also gives for different, for a king, what are the justified means of earning wealth, for a brahmana, for a worker, but I'm not going to get into that. The broad verse which describes pure sources of wealth is this one. There are seven sources of dharmic wealth, and I have specified these seven in front of you. So, having said that, we should always avoid wealth which is attained by adharma. Now, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, seven of these. Can a person live a happy life through wealth earned by these seven? Please tell me.
Yes.
Yes. Even in the modern world in the 21st century, in 2026, please tell me.
Yes.
Yes. So the Smriti literature is applicable even and very relevant even today. These seven are justified dharmic wealth for all of us. But please avoid wealth attained by adharma. I am saying this to individuals, and I am also saying this to individuals who are part of organizations, especially religious organizations. Please avoid wealth attained by adharma, because that leads to a very negative result. You were given sources of dharmic wealth. Please do not take beyond that, because beyond that belongs to somebody else. The Ishopanishad says, Tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridha kasya siddhanam. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan comments, and I am translating according to the commentary of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. Bhunji tha, enjoy only those objects that are bestowed tyaktena upon you by Supreme Lord, by tena Isha, by the Supreme Lord. And Sri Baldev Vidyabhushan says, how does he bestow? He says, according to your previous karma. Adrishta, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says, according to your previous karma, he will bestow upon you. So enjoy what is bestowed upon you by the Supreme Lord. Ma ghritaha, do not hanker. Kasya svidhanam, for the wealth and enjoyments that belong to somebody else. Because just as properly earned wealth, properly given charity is rewarded multiple times, similarly, improperly earned wealth, improper charity is punished multiple times. And we do not want to have improper sources of wealth and improper sources of charity. When we have so many 7 avenues of dharmic wealth, we do not need to get into improper adharmic sources of attaining wealth. Na dhanam. I do not want any adharmic dhanam. I do not want any wealth which is earned through adharma. This is also one of the meanings. Or let all my wealth come through dharma. And I want that wealth which is favorable for my bhakti. Na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. And whatever wealth we get, the devotees, let it be purified. If you have any extra wealth, if you wish to purify your wealth, Maharaj Manu says, dhanaṁ ekam kalau yuge. Charity is the primary dharma in the age of Kali. Actually, it is yuga dharma. Now, somebody may say yuga dharma is kirtan, sankirtan. That is, yuga sankirtan or kirtan is the primary yuga dharma. The secondary yuga dharma has been specified by Manu Maharaj in Manusmriti. The secondary yuga dharma in the age of Kali is dan, charity. Whatever you earn, whatever excess you have, whatever you can give happily, dear Vaishnavas, give. Please give. Dhanam ekam kalau yuge. Charity is primary dharma in the age of Kali for most individuals. Purification of wealth is very important. Artha Shuddhi, as we had seen previously. Sri Jiva Goswami also highlights this purification of wealth in the Bhakti Sandarbha. He says, Asti yetu sampatti banto grihastas. The rich and prosperous grihastas. Tesham tu archana marga eva mukhya. They should definitely take up archanam as their main deity worship. They should spend for deity worship in one's own home and in the temples. They should spend for devotional festivals. They should spend for all the wonderful projects which are related to bhajan, which are related to bhakti, and they should also spend for kindness to show kindness towards other living entities, to feed other living entities. So Jiva Goswami says, Tad akritva hi, if they give up this path of charity and nishkinchanavat, just they try to behave like renunciates, kevala smaranadi nishthatve, and they say, oh, no, why do I need to give charity? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. I do not need to give charity. Then he says, Vitta Shatya Vipratipatti Syat. Then they will certainly incur the fault of cheating tendency in relation to spending their money. Direct instruction by our Acharya. It is fully in line with what the other Vedic authorities are saying. What Manu Maharaj said, Dhanam ekam kalau yuge. I'll go back to the previous slide. Dhanam ekam kalau yuge. Charity is primary dharma in the age of Kali. Somebody may think, oh, Manu Maharaj is speaking from a mundane piety point of view. No, for the devotees also giving charity to devotional projects and also giving charity to to the welfare of living entities, which is very much needed to purify their wealth. Otherwise, there will be fault with the shatya, vipratipatti, cheating tendency in relationship to wealth. Because the cheating tendency is that although I know I have so much wealth, I am deliberately not spending it like a miser. And to cover up my fault, I am using the excuse of performing smaran. This is what Sri Jiva Goswami is indicating here. Therefore, na mad adhikarato adhikam dhanam. I do not ask for wealth beyond my adhikar. This is the meaning of na dhanam. Now, having understood this, gradually we have to move to the next material desire, na janam. But we will discuss that in detail in the next session. But to make an entry into that, there is a wonderful verse that Shri Vyasadeva specifies in the Garud Puran. He says, there are individuals who are not so much attached to dhana, not so much attached to wealth, but they definitely want followers and recognition. A wonderful verse from the Garud Puran. Adhama dhanam icchanti dhanamanav hi madhyama uttama manam icchanti mano hi mahatam dhanam. Adhama dhanam icchanti. Lowly individuals desire only wealth. They're not worried about reputation, prestige, or followers. Dhanamanav hi madhyama. The madhyama, mediocre ones, desire wealth as well as social status and followers. Uttama manamichanti. The elevated ones desire only social status and followers. Mano hi mahatam dhanam. Indeed, social status is the wealth of the elevated ones. When where vittaishana ends, lokaishana is still present. Therefore, Mahaprabhu, na dhanam, na janam. But we will get into this na janam because that desire is more deep rooted than the desire for dhana. Many individuals make a show of giving up dhanam because they want janam, they want manam, they want prestige and followers. But we will get into this in detail in the next session. So I'm very thankful once again, dear devotees, that all of you were kindly present here for the 47th session of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Yadatra skalitam kinchit vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushtavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi. Yadatra skalitam kinchit. If I made any mistake, dear devotees, vidvam saha, you are learned devotees, purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. But yadatra saushtavam kinchit. If there was anything nice, please remember, tad guroreva. It all belongs to my Gurujanas. All the authorities that I quoted here, they're all my Gurujanas. May nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for kindly being the host. Thank you to all the wonderful devotees for kindly being present here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for a really wonderful class. So surprising. We don't hear this perspective, but it's so relevant and practical. I think this should. I know you don't like standardization, but I do think this should be standardized, Prabhuji. So thank you so much. And now we're going to go to questions and answers. And
Yeah.
we do have a few criterion just to keep everyone focused. So I'm just going to pull those up right now. Sorry, one moment.
So,
Okay, I got it. So we're only taking questions related to today's class. You might have a lot of valid and insightful questions, but we're restricting to only questions on today's class. Um, Here it is. We also ask that you please keep your questions short for others. So you might have a lot on your mind, but if you can break it up by asking one question, get an answer, and then coming back in line, that creates space for other people rather than asking several questions in a row. If you think about your questions ahead of time, they'll be simpler to express and for us to understand. That keeps everything moving smoothly. So please clarify your question in your mind before asking it. We don't hold anyone accountable in these sessions. So we don't ask, well, this Shastra said this, but this person does that, or that institution does something different. So what do you have to say about that? We don't take any questions like that. And lastly, we appreciate informal and friendly mood and tone. So no need to be overly formal in these sessions. Anything else, Prabhuji?
I deeply appreciate the way you moderate the question and answers. And really, without you, we could not have done it. Without you, there I would be taken in 10 different directions by, individuals who would be asking many questions. But thank you, Prabhu, for moderating the Q&A so nicely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That makes me want to do better. And lastly, if you're listening on YouTube or another platform right now and you'd like to join our live classes, please send an email to siksastakam.hpd@gmail.com, exactly the spelling you see on the screen. And make sure to include your WhatsApp number and country code so we know who to join. We have a WhatsApp group and we send the links there. And so if you have a question, you can just raise your hand in Zoom or leave something in the chat. Our first question is from Vamshitari Gopal Prabhu.
Wonderful, Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my Dandot Pranam. All the other Vaishnavas also, please accept my Dandot Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's so wonderful to see you again and having these classes started again. It's Lifeline, so it started again, so we can leave now. So, Prabhuji, today's class is look like a Bible for like a Gita for me because each and every point and each and every verse which you mentioned 100% directly relate to my work and my life as it is. So thank you so much. Like so many doubts and apprehensions which I have while I do my job and my work has been clarified today. So and it's looked like that each of those words I can frame it and keep it in my office, like that. So such a wonderful clarity you have given. So only one question I have, Prabhuji, like in today's world, like as part of my profession also, like many times these questions come from devotees that there is so much uncertainty around, like inflation, job loss, this external world can throw us so many surprises at us at all the time. So to give them confidence that they have enough as per their adhikar, like as you said, like somebody's lifestyle, current lifestyle, whatever they have and where they are living and what they are earning, what kind of status, their social status they are maintaining today, without making too much compromise in that, with unless it comes directly from within, like not artificially. So to give them such a confidence that yes, whatever they have or whatever they can do to make sure that they will have, even if this
Sorry to
external
interrupt, Prabhuji. What is your question?
Yeah, I'm going to the question, Prabhuji. So my question is that what should be like my approach to give them that confidence that that externals will go wrong, but we don't have to overdo because of that also. Because as long as we take some right steps and give right protection to us in terms of insurance and in terms of whatever other means material world offered to us to protect against those kind of anxieties, we should once we have that clarity that yes, we can reach our goal and we can be peaceful even with maintaining this much of wealth. I don't have to now like over endeavor
Sure,
to go
sure.
to
So
the
the
next.
question is, how do we give confidence to people who are worried about loss in the material world?
Yeah, right. Even if like number wise I show them that you are very comfortable, like even if thing
Thank you,
goes
Prabhuji.
wrong,
We'll go to the answer now,
yeah,
if that's okay.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So I understood the question, Prabhu. Uh, the thing is, the uncertainty always exists in the material world. Even for a person who has earned a lot, the uncertainty always exists in the material world. A devotee has the confidence that as long as I have these many resources to give me wealth consistently, till that time Bhagavan will take care. And in case there is some emergency, in case there is some unfortunate situation which falls upon them, there are relatives, there are society, there are other devotees who will help me out. This confidence should be there with the devotee. And the verse which I showed about seven sources of legitimate wealth, that itself is a great hope giver to individuals, that if they are not gathering wealth through these sources, they can start gathering wealth through these sources. So that verse plus the understanding that of course uncertainty exists even for the biggest, most wealthiest people on this planet. They are also afraid of losing all money, but at the same time we should have some faith that Bhagwan will protect us as Bhagwan protects the remaining 83,000, 83 lakh 99,999 species of life. As Bhagwan provides for them, Bhagwan will also provide for us. As long as the immediate family is satisfied, and as long as one is mentally satisfied with the present situation, we are good to go. Future is always going to be uncertain, so that we can explain to the devotee. So I think this is the thing which we can tell the individuals to whom we are speaking. I hope that answers your query.
Thank you. Next we have Omkar Prabhu.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
my pleasure.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji, today. It was very practical. Prabhuji, my question was this. As you've mentioned the general verse for the dharmic sources of income,
Correct.
is there a verse which describes the adharmic sources of income? Maybe we cannot cover it all, but maybe if such an indication is given.
Of course, in the same Manusmriti, the categorization is given according to Varna and Ashram, what is dharmic for whom, what is dharmic for whom. For example, in the seven sources of dharmic income, one of them is Jaya, conquered in a battle. Now, this is only for Kshatriyas. So, then there is the categorization of apad dharma, emergency duties. In a case of emergency, can you take up somebody else's profession? But if the state of emergency is not there, then paradharmo bhayava, to take up somebody else's job and to earn somebody else's wealth, is to create an issue, a career issue for them. So that is what is counted as adharma, to take somebody else's paradharmo. Paradharma, what is not allowed for you according to your varna and ashram, is counted by the smritis as adharma. So that should not be done. That is the general understanding. But because adharma is of infinite variety, in general, what I quoted the Ishopanishad, ma gridaha kasya svidhanam. The general rule is do not hanker for wealth which belongs to somebody else. Do not hanker for resources which belong to somebody else. So that is the general line of understanding. But in detail, you can see there are so many nuances in that particular understanding. So this is what I can say at this point of time. But the Manusmriti and other smritis will give the details of what is paradharma. So I hope that satisfies your query to some degree.
Yes, Ro, thank you. I was just inquiring about Varnashram neutral kind of thing, but maybe we could discuss it later.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hare.
Hare.
Thank you. Next we have Vrajaraj Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanaṁ, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this very poignant class. I have two questions. I'll ask one now. The question that I have is, I think that I'm an ant, but other devotees are saying that I'm an elephant. So I don't know how to decide how much I need, because I'm getting contradictory signals from others. And how much I should accept depends on, as you said, whether I'm an ant or an elephant. So how does one deal with this?
Okay, wonderful. So you are thinking that your requirements are very less, but other individuals are advising you that no, you need more. So Sri Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu said, Yavata Syat Swanirvaha. Swanirvaha means your own sustenance and the sustenance of your immediate family if you have one. If you don't have an immediate family, if you're alone, then Swanirvaha, your own sustenance. So what should be counted is what is needed for the present day and some savings which are needed for the future. So that in case you need to depend on the savings, you can, spend some of your days simply by uh, uh, taking from the savings in case of an emergency. If you have done the calculation and if you are confident that this is sufficient for you, Rupa Goswami says Arthavit. This you are Arthavit. Arthavit means become very knowledgeable in the science of how much you need today, how much you need for the future. And by doing a calculation like this, you will not be unhappy. So you don't have to necessarily subscribe to somebody else's opinion, but please make sure that when you take a decision for yourself, that decision is well informed and it takes into consideration uh, the possibilities of the future as much as possible. That is the answer that I would like to say. You have to decide, but you have to decide not in an emotional and in an immature way, but in a very practical way as to what will help you today and in the future. So that is what can be said about the first query. And then definitely we will come back to you for the second one.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Bhagwat Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanapram. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, my question was from, you quoted the Hitoupdesh the Prastavika verse 32, where the effort is important to gain the favor of Providence. Prabhuji, I personally feel like my tendencies are towards artistic professions, like music and writing, etc. But around current situations, this profession is not very favorable towards bhakti. I thought of seeing a Jyotish, but it's also very difficult to find a incredible one to know what actually are my internal tendencies. So I don't know now what profession should I choose, because the content creation, filmmaking, they are uh, they are surrounded by so many things that it
Hare
may cause
Krishna
me.
Prabhu. We might not be able to consider all the important details of your life situation to answer the question. So if you could make it somewhat simple or generic, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. So basically, my question is, if the career choice or the path to accumulate wealth is not necessarily favorable towards bhakti, what can be done in that situation?
Okay, sure. See, what is favorable for bhakti and what is not favorable for bhakti is something which one should have a deeper look into, not just a surface glance into. It is not favorable for bhakti. Why? Because it leads to sense gratification. The de facto answer, or it is surrounded by people who are sense gratifiers. The thing is, kavya, natya, kala, arts, music, literature, since the beginning of time has been replete with people who are sense enjoyers. These fields cannot be carried out by renunciates. Please try to understand, the field of arts, music, and other literature cannot be run by people who have given up the material world. It runs on the basis of people who are fully engaged in sense gratification. Having known that, if sense gratification is what is troubling us, the solution is not to run away from arts, music, and literature. The solution is to understand devotional arts, music, and literature so that sublimation of the material desires takes place. Shri Rai Ramananda, Shri Swarup Damodar Goswami were all experts in music, drama, and art. Shri Rupa Goswami himself wrote 2 dramas, Lalita Madhav, Vidagdha Madhav. So they were all well aware of the culture of sense gratification, which is around the whole arts and music faculties. But the solution is not to run away. Because if you run away to another field, let's say you go to another field like investment banking, it is also filled with sense enjoyers. The only thing is they don't do the sense enjoyment while they are working. Whereas in arts and music, the sense enjoyment is part of the whole process of arts and music. You will not find a single field of work in this world which is free of sense enjoyers. The only difference is in arts and music, sense enjoyment is present in the process. Whereas in investment banking, sense enjoyment is the result. That is the only difference. Sooner or later, you have to come to terms with sense enjoyment and how you sublimate and transcend that sense enjoyment. So the solution by the previous acharyas is not to give up on that. If it helps your career, please pursue it. But please take shiksha from some devotee who will be able to help you sublimate that desire so that you are not affected while you are working in the field of arts, music, and literature. That is the solution. All right. So I hope that answer makes sense to you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Next, we have a question from Vasundhara Mataji. She says, can stock trading be classified under the heading of return on investment? Can devotees take up this activity?
All sorts of trade are return on investment. Previously, trade, what is the meaning of trade? The meaning of trade is that you invest some money in some particular resource. After a few months, you get something back. This is called as return on investment. So now what happens is that previously individuals used to do bartering. So they used to invest money with the local money lender. Nowadays, people invest money with the bank. Now, whether you invest money in the bank or you invest money in the stock exchange, the financial situation today is such that if you put money in the bank will put it in the stock exchange. And if you put money directly in the stock exchange, you can have the return on investment. That is the difference. So some devotees say we should not invest in stocks. Why? Because it is speculation. So where do you invest? You invest in a bank. And where does the bank invest? The bank invests your money in the stock exchange. All you are doing is you are getting a middleman for investing in stock exchange. And in return, the bank gives you a little piece of what it has earned through the stock exchange. So when Manu Maharaj has said that return on investment is a valid source of wealth, try to understand that return on investment is a valid source. But please also understand that loss is also incurred in the same process. If you incur a loss in the same process, then you will face difficulties. Therefore, it is recommended that investment should be done in a safe source which will give you slightly lesser but definite returns. Once again, I am repeating. It is recommended to invest in a safe source which will definitely give returns, although slightly lesser, but which will definitely give returns rather than giving you a loss. So that is what is recommended. Otherwise, this question today of whether I should invest in stocks or not, it makes no sense. Because if you invest in a bank, the bank is anyways going to invest in the stock exchange. So indirectly, your money is going to stock exchange. Therefore, it is very important to understand, put money in a safe investment. put money in a safe place where you are sure that you will get some increased amount according to your desire. Right? That decision is left up to you. That is the answer. Hare Krishna.
Yes, next we have Rasikananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my pranams.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for continuing this series. We are just feeling back from so many months. Prabhuji, you focused on endeavor and not just being dependent on bhagya or prarabdha. But Prabhuji also mentioned at a certain point that what occupation is there mentioned in the Shastra for specific varnas that should be taken up according to the Shastras. Prabhuji, how important it is, like you said, that adharmic wealth should not be taken, and even dharma perspective and bhakti perspective is different. So, how important, like specifically, if I talk about Brahmana, so a Brahmana has duties mentioned like Patan, Pathan, Yajan, Yajan. So, if Brahmana by Varna is for wealth endeavoring, he's working or doing works of a Shudra. So, how okay is it, and how much we should focus on Shastra specified for every Varna?
Okay,
Duties for every
wonderful.
Varna.
Wonderful. So, therefore, the Acharyas have also said that in this particular, especially it applies to this age, because there is a lot of Varna Vyatyaya. Varna Vyatyaya means there is a lot of confusion of Varnas in this particular day and age. So, other wonderful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I will specify this particular verse, and you can read the translation. I will share the verse on the screen. Here is the verse. This is 7th canto, 11th chapter, 35th. Yasya yal lakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivyञ्जकम् yad anyatrapi drishyeta tat tenaiva vinirdisyet. Please read the translation, Prabhu.
If one shows the symptoms of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Shudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification.
So this is what works in many cases today. That a person may have appeared in a different family, but their tendency of work, their natural inclination of work, their circumstances sometimes are such that they cannot work in that particular varna, in the duties of that particular varna. So according to apat sthiti, according to emergency situation, let's say they are working or not working as a brahmana, they are working according to some other varna. All right. But at least in that varna's work, they should not cheat. They should not take wealth which belongs to somebody else, and they should earn according to the 7 sources which I have specified, which are dharmic sources of wealth. So there is little issue here, but at least the wealth earned is dharmic wealth. You have not stolen from somebody else. You have not, because you are working according to your nature, although you appeared in a different family. But still, you are not stealing somebody else's money. As long as you are not snatching somebody else's wealth, you are not cheating somebody else. As long as you are earning wealth which is in the dharmic sources of wealth. Wonderful. All right. Little problem in Kali Yuga, but it is not unresolvable. Bhakti will take care of the small difficulties, small issues that have arisen because of taking to some other profession. Because such things are very difficult to be controlled, especially in today's day and age when the varnashram system is falling apart and almost has fallen apart. Previously, it was organic and natural. So it is personally not your fault. It is the fault of the collective society that the system is not in place. But collective faults also in a minor way affect us. So that minor effect, it is affecting us. Forget about it because Kalau Dosha Nidhe Rajan. It is Dosha Nidhi. It is an ocean of faults. A little fault, when there is a big puddle of mud and somebody splashes into it, some mud will also come upon us. So it has come upon us. No problem. But at least let us earn in a dharmic way, and let us earn in such a way that not only do we have sufficient wealth for peaceful execution of our bhakti, but also we have wealth for giving charity. so that tomorrow, if we have to take another birth, providence will be in our favor. That is what can be understood. All right. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Rai Ramananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dhanat Pranam Prabhuji.
My pranams. So,
Thank you very much for such a wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, my question is regarding the last shlok which you have discussed from the Garud Puran, where it has been described with Mano hi Mahatam Dhanam.
Yeah.
So I want to ask that, does this category about the Uttamaha, elevated persons, does this category include pure devotees, or does it refer only to morally or socially elevated worldly people? And if pure devotees are indeed the highest among the elevated, then what is the meaning of the man or honor in their case, since they are described throughout the scriptures as humbler than the blade of grass and devoid of any desire for personal prestige?
Wonderful.
So is their honor merely worldly social status, or does it signify something entirely different, such as Lord's acceptance, the approval of Guru and Vaishnavas, or eligibility for eternal service?
Sure.
Like how we can able to understand it through the lens of Tattva.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. So the final verse is mainly from a social perspective. The original context is also purely social in the Garud Puran. So I'm maintaining the original context. What is given in the Garud Puran is the purely social context. Socially, a person who is elevated, for him, his elevated social status is his wealth. Sometimes such individuals take to the path of bhakti. That tendency is carried forward in the path of bhakti. So for them, it is easy to give up dhanaṁ. They say, I don't want wealth, but I want this janam. I really want people to know me and recognize me, that I was this person, great person who gave up so much, such a renounced person, and therefore I want this janam. So it's purely a socially elevated person. It is the verse, original verse is not talking about person who is who is very elevated on the path of bhakti, because in the previous verse, amanina means such a person doesn't have man. They don't expect social prestige for themselves, those who are actually elevated on the path of bhakti. So therefore this consideration is purely from a social point of view. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction. But in the next talks onwards, we will, try to elaborate more upon janam. So Rai Raman Prabhu, I hope please quickly tell me if it answered your query to some degree of satisfaction. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Hare Krishna.
Next, we have a question from Malika Mataji. She says, can you please elaborate what is the Grihastha ashram that follows Smriti and Shruti and is also focused on Vaishnavism?
What is the Grihastha ashram that follows Shruti and Smriti and also focused on Vaishnavism? Vaishnavism expects you to follow Shruti and Smriti. There is a verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpate. I will show the verse that devotional service, especially Vaidhi Bhakti, has to be in line with Shruti and Smriti. Here is the verse. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I am sharing the screen so that we all can have a look. Prabhupada says in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Srila Rupa Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12101, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpate. Devotional service which ignores Vedic literature, Shruti Smriti Puran, it creates a disturbance in the society. Therefore, devotional service is supposed to follow Shruti and Smriti, and Grihastha ashram, as much as possible, should follow Shruti and Smriti. Now, Shruti and Smriti are very broad-minded when it comes to Grihastha ashram. It's not a very, when we say Shruti and Smriti, we should not think of them as being very strict in this regard, very broad-minded in regards to Grihastha ashram. So, to understand the basic standards of Grihastha ashram as they are given in the Shruti and Smriti and accepting the standard which is favorable and which is possible for us. And then we are following the Grihastha ashram according to Shruti and Smriti. And we are not breaking any rules of the Grihastha ashram. Then we are in line, our Vaishnavism, our Grihastha ashram are both in line with Shruti and Smriti. This is what can be said in this regard. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Haridasa Varya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Always support Guru and thank you so much, Prabhuji. So much, so many questions and so many answers, and now it is very clear. So I have one question, Prabhuji. So if we get some money or anything, like you mentioned in the example, if you find some money on the road, there is no one is there, no one belongs to that one. So if we take that money and use it for the seva, or if we use it for ourselves, so will it accumulate any karma, or I mean, what should we do? Not only money, or if anything comes on its own accord.
Yeah.
So how can we?
Wonderful. See, money came to you by providence and you just found some money on the street, you picked it up. You tried to locate the owner, you couldn't locate the owner. So providence has kept it for you. You put it in your pocket. Now there are many things you can do with that sort of money. The first thing is the best thing to do is that you utilized it in seva. It gives you devotional benefit, which is called as bhakti sukriti. It will give you that devotional benefit, which is the best thing to have. Next is you use it in a pious activity. You give it as charity to somebody who is qualified. It gives you a pious reaction. Next is if you use it for your own sense gratification, but that sense gratification is allowed in Shastra. You use it for purchasing some food item, which is allowed in Shastra. Neutral, no reaction. You use it for something negative. Negative, not you, but let's say somebody else purchases a lottery ticket from it. Negative reaction. All right. So, because lottery is not return on investment. Please try to one thing I want to specify. Lottery is not investment. Investment is when a significant principal has been invested and there is a tiny amount of interest that you get on it. So, but if you spend that if somebody spends that on a lottery, or somebody spends that on drinking or or on eating something which is forbidden, then negative reaction. So it depends on what direction you want. Because if you are a devotee, you take that money and use it in some seva, so that it will give you bhakti sukriti, devotional piety. And devotee should accumulate as much devotional piety as possible, because devotional piety is not mundane karma. It doesn't give mundane karmic reactions. It leads to increasing bhakti. So that is what can be said.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Next, we have a question from Vignesh Kamat Prabhu. Regarding your slide on Hitopadesh, you mentioned that providence alone cannot produce the desired result without proper effort. However, Srimad Bhagavatam 763 states that material happiness comes automatically according to one's providence, just as distress comes without endeavor. Ayatnata. How should these two teachings be reconciled? Is the Bhagavatam discouraging over endeavor, prayasa, for material gain, as described in the Upadeshamrita, rather than endeavor itself?
So it's a wonderful question, and I want to give an answer by quoting the Purana. There is a very special chapter in the Matsya Purana itself, which is dedicated to this particular query. And I am quoting from chapter 221 of Matsya Purana, and the devotees can see and they can understand this entire Siddhanta. Manu Uvacha, Manu Maharaj is asking Daive purushakare cha kim jayastad bravihi me. Manu said, "Oh Lord, tell me what is superior between fate and one's own exertion, one's own effort. And I have got doubts on this, kindly solve them." Matsya, Bhagavan Matsya replies, "Someva karma daivakyam vidhi dehantararjitam." And then he says, "Tasmat paurusham eveha shreshtham manishina." Lord Matsya said, the deeds of our past life are known as fate or daiva. Consequently, the wise have always held one's own effort and perseverance as superior. But your question is not resolved because Bhagavatam says something comes automatically by providence. So Matsyadev answers, "Pratikulam tatha daivam paurushena vihanyate." He says, "Yesham purva kritam karvam satvikam manujottama paurushena vina tesham keshanchid drishyate phala." Those who have performed good deeds and are filled with sattva guna, they get with their results without much exertion, without much effort. So what the Bhagavatam is saying is, if you have performed in the past karma, if you have performed nice karma, you will automatically get. If you have not performed that nice karma, you will get with some effort. And if you have performed bad karma, you will not get even after much effort. So what the Siddhanta is this. Automatically it comes in two cases. First is when your previous karma is very good and sattvic. Second is if Bhagavan intervenes. As in the case of some devotees, Bhagavan intervenes. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. But for yogakshemam vahamyaham, satatam, they have to be constantly, one-pointedly devoted to Bhagavan. For those who are not on that platform, little effort is required. Providence alone will not do, little effort is required. This is the Siddhanta. And if something is happening according to providence, it means previous karma was so good that without some effort, it automatically came to you. But you can't depend on it always. Therefore, little effort is always required. That is the answer to the query.
Next, we have Ananga Mohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam, and all the Vaishnavas, Pranam to all. Thank you so much for a wonderful class, Prabhuji, again. Prabhuji, my question is the seven types of income one can accumulate. Then the seventh one is the Swaparigraha. So for Brahminical activities, it is justified that one can take remuneration for the deeds of the Brahmana. But for the Vaishnava perspective, I would like to know that when one is giving some Bhagavatam classes or discourses on the Bhagavad or some Kirtan Seva, so if he is getting some remuneration, and it is being said at times that one should not take remuneration for Seva, so how we can reconcile this perspective in the Vaishnava society?
See, remuneration indicates that there was an amount fixed for it. That is what is the meaning of the term remuneration. There was an amount fixed for it. If there was an amount fixed for it, it is not encouraged so much, because ideally these things are supposed to happen by the principle of dāna, voluntary charity. Now the giver should also understand that I should not give very less. And the receiver should also understand that I should not demand too much. What is justified should be given by the person who is giving charity, should be received by the person who is receiving charity. This is the best thing to do rather than asking for something fixed. When you ask for something fixed, it becomes more or less like an employment. And it is not good to have, a fixed money-based employment. It is best to have, the speaker should have the freedom that, you are giving by your own free will. You are giving unconditionally, so that there are no attachments or expectations. But the person who is giving should also give with a proper mindset, because in the Gita it is said, Yagyam adakshinam. Any yagya which is performed without giving dakshina enters into the mode of ignorance. I will show you that particular verse so that we should understand that when a particular person is doing some seva, there should be some charity. So here is the verse from the Gita. Vidhihinam asrishtannam, mantrahinam adakshinam, Shraddha virahitam yagyam tamasam parichakshate. Please read the translation, Prabhu.
Any sacrifice performed without the regard for the directions of scripture, without distribution of prasad, spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remuneration to the priest, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah. So the Bhagavad Katha or any such, because the Bhagavad Katha is also a yajna. Bhagavad Katha is specified in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Commentator says Satram Swargaya Lokaya, Satram Brahma Satra. It is one form of yajna. When a yajna is performed, the eligible grihastha who is organizing the yajna should give that charity to the person who is performing the yajna. Because otherwise, yajna madarakshanam, there is no remuneration to the priest. And then the yajna enters into the mode of ignorance. But it should not be a fixed income or fixed salary based thing. It is not, that is not considered as very high class. Although it can be done, but it is not considered as very high class. Most high class thing is to give voluntary remuneration to the priests. And there is a term in English for that. There is a sophisticated term in English for that, which I will try to remember. It's called encourage, something like that. Huh? But I will try to.
Remuneration?
No, remuneration that is there, but there is also uh, a more polished word for voluntary donation. I'll try to find that, but this is what can be done.
Prabhuji, one feedback on this. Suppose some grahastha
Can we
is
come
there.
back to you, Prabhuji? And we
No,
can get
this
into
is
more
related to
details.
this is
Right, but
related
it's the
to.
second question, so we'll just come back to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate it. Next we have Kayor Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Babuji, Denver Palm to all the Vaishnavas, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. I hope you got
Sorry,
some
Kamniya Krishna Prabhu.
rest and free time from your rigorous preaching. And I also would like to admire Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, who is ever smiling, I would say. And as you mentioned, he is there from a long time. So his consistency and enthusiasm is truly commendable. So please bless me especially that I get a little drop of your enthusiasm so that we can do the similar service at the lotus feet of Krishna Babaji. Thank you so much for your wonderful and consistency. I would say consistency is a very key word here. So thank you so much.
Thank you very
Babaji.
much. Thank you. Did you have a question, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, thank you so much for bringing this topic. And my question is basically based on the couple of things combined what you talked today. One was like you mentioned that a person, even though he is a knowledgeable or is a pious or something, but still he has to stand at the door of the person who is a wealthy or something like that, right? And also we saw adhikar of the a person, what should be his adhikar in terms of bhakti and dharma. So Prabhuji, especially maybe you also might have noticed, but I have been noticing so many devotees, I would say pure devotees, just serving to the Krishna consciousness or, many devotees from decades. And now the situation is, Prabhuji, this is really agitating my mind from quite some time. That's why I'm asking. So now they are at such a situation that they cannot earn their livelihood properly. And but still you have, as you mentioned, right, that we still have a material duties to perform and body to maintain and so many other things, right? And at the same time, they are so self-reliant and self-dependable that they're very shy to ask for any kind of a help, which really, bothers me so many times because I see them. So why at the same time, why the question comes into my mind is why Krishna is not intervening here? Because it is not that I don't have a faith in Krishna, but no, by seeing this situation, like it is like as we say in Hindi, right? Na seh sakte, na reh sakte hai. So how to, like, even if we try to help, they are very hesitant to take any kind of a help because
Okay.
throughout their life, they have lived that kind of a life, and many people, so we really feel very, very bad. I especially, it really disturbs my mind many times. So how should we look at the situation and what should we at least, try to do it so that uh, maybe, it might be a little marginal help for them, So
Sure, sure. So sometimes you see devotees who are voluntarily not accepting anything. They are in great need, but they are not accepting anything because that is their nature, and it pains you to see that they're not accepting anything. Uh, Sometimes the best thing to do is to uh, do what is known as Gupta Dan, silent donation to such individuals without them coming to know about it. So I remember one individual did this, that he found out the bank account details of another devotee who was in need and just quietly made a deposit of money. And you can't send the money back once it's deposited. You can't reverse the transaction. At least in India, you can't do that. And so next time he saw his bank account, there was a lot more money than what he had previously. So this is one way. If you feel bad about it, definitely this is one thing you can do, is do an anonymous donation, anonymous charity, what is known as Gupta Dan. That can be done. And if that is also not possible, then it is better to talk to that devotee and say that, for my pleasure, you take this money. For my pleasure, you take this resource. Not for your pleasure, but for my pleasure, you take it. So take it upon yourself and try to give it to that particular individual. And if that individual is close to you, like-minded to you, like-hearted to you, for your pleasure, they will take. So we should try in these methods, and ultimately, Bhagwan will take care. Through yourself or through somebody else, Bhagwan will take care. So that is what I'd like to say. Thank you.
But just a counter question onto that, Prabhuji, if Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu allows,
Sure.
Is it okay if we come back to you? Hari Parshad Prabhu can decide.
Okay. In this instance, okay, if you want to ask something, one short reply, yes.
So, Prabhu, why the point is like, why Krishna is not intervening, and
the thing is, Prabhu, why should Krishna intervene in all the situations? The devotee is poor by their choice, and the devotee is in misery by their choice. Self-inflicted, why should Krishna intervene in a situation of self-inflicted misery? Tomorrow, people will use this example to manifest Krishna whenever they want, wherever they want. Krishna will not manifest according to self-inflicted misery. Krishna will manifest when he wants to manifest. And that he may manifest to a devotee who is very wealthy. He may not manifest to a devotee who is very poor. There is no specific rule for Krishna manifesting in front of a particular devotee. Especially this case, what you're describing seems to be a very specific case in which poverty is self-inflicted. Sri Rupa Goswami has said you should accept that much wealth by which your bhajan will be carried out happily and nicely. Perhaps this devotee either doesn't understand this instruction or voluntarily likes to remain in suffering in order to attract the mercy of Bhagwan. But to remain in suffering in order to attract the mercy of Bhagwan is not one of the 64 limbs of bhakti. You can't pressurize Bhagwan to manifest himself by remaining in misery. Otherwise, Prabhupada used to say, why don't you cut your head, in order to manifest Bhagwan? So that is not how you force Bhagwan to appear in front of you. Bhagwan appears when he will feel some genuine love. And there are many people in the world who cry about their situation. Bhagwan, I am so poor, I am so, fallen, I am so much in distress. Why don't you manifest? Why don't they try to emotionally blackmail Bhagwan into manifesting himself in front of them? Bhagwan doesn't work like that. Bhagwan manifests when Bhagwan wants to manifest, when he sees that the devotee is giving prema, which Bhagwan really relishes, and Bhagwan wants to reciprocate, then Bhagwan will manifest in front of the devotee, irrespective of the material condition. That is the precise answer to the query. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Babu. Thank you so much, Dhāmeśvara. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamaniya Krishna Prabhu. We have a question in the chat from Divyanga Lalita Mataji. In case of religious institutions, how can we ensure the source of dana that is received in the form of donations is dharmic?
In case of religious institutions, how do we ensure that the source is dharmic? A religious institution is allowed to take money from individuals, from various individuals in the society, as much as it needs for its particular projects. The list of projects that the religious institution is carrying out should be in full public display. How much money is needed for each project should be in full public display, and nothing should be hidden from the public view. The money, the payments and incomes that are given to the people working in the religious institution should be on full public display. Just recently in India, there was a big scam because one of the biggest temples in India, there was a financial fraud discovered, and it spoiled the entire image of that temple. Those who know about current affairs will know what I am speaking about. So it spoiled the entire image of the temple because financial discrepancies were discovered and money was being stolen from the dhan peti, from the charity box of the temple. So therefore, everything, especially in a religious institution where you are placing Bhagwan seva over your personal financial goals, especially in a religious institution, all financial requirements should be put up clearly in public display. This is the money we need for our services. If this money is available, we will be able to carry out the service. If this money is not available, we will not be able to carry out the service. At the end of every year, the financial records of every religious institution should be made public, and proper taxes should be paid to the government, because if a religious institution is earning extra, it should contribute back to the society. In this way, a religious institution keeps free of negativities. There is no problem in receiving any amount of money, as long as you are declaring it in front of public, not hiding it from the public, and you are paying proper taxes to the government. There is absolutely nothing adharmic in that particular religious institution. But in any religious institution where you are hiding the amount of money that you are earning, where that money is being put into private pockets, or where that money is being used for something else besides Bhagwan Seva, then it is not very good. Recently, I went to South India for 2 or 3 days. I went to a very prestigious temple in South India. It is one of the Vaishnava temples. There, it is said, every day we are feeding people. We need 3 lakh rupees every day to feed people. It's written very clearly. Every day we need 3 lakh rupees to feed people. And when I personally went and I saw they are feeding prasad to thousands and thousands of people every day. Thousands of people, a full plate of rice. There is dal, there are sabjis, there are 2 sweets. They are feeding thousands of people prasad every day. And they're saying for our average, the average contribution we need is Indian rupees 3 lakh every day for feeding people. People are happily contributing, they are publishing their records, and it is in full transparency of the government. Therefore, zero problems with this particular temple. So this is how a religious institution should be maintained. And when people start taking money into their private pockets from religious institutions, when people start hiding from the government, when people do not publish their records transparently, And oh, if we publish everything transparently, then people will come to know that we are earning so much money. It is not good to reveal all of this. There are temples earning 10 times your income and they are displaying it in public view. So there is nothing that a small or medium-sized temple cannot put up on the internet or for everybody to see. The biggest temples in India, some of the biggest temples in India have they show the records publicly, and they are analyzed by various experts, income tax experts, so that there is absolutely no question of stealing. In fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya is reputed to have found out a scandal in the money of the Jagannath Puri temple when he was the district magistrate. And he found out that they are utilizing that money, which is supposed to be used for Chappan Bhog, 56 Bhogas. They are not properly offering Chappan Bhog to Bhagwan Jagannath, and he ensured that those people who have stolen from the temple's money, they pay back each and every paisa so that it is offered to Bhagwan Jagannath, and that prasad is offered to all the people in the society. That is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ensured by force of law. So this is dharma, to ensure if they are not listening by Shastra, then by force of law, Bhaktivinoda Thakur forced them to uh, uh, to uh, to release that money for the sake of Jagannath's Prasad. So a religious institution should be very careful, because people who engage in such activities in religious institutions get terrible negative results. And there is that pastime of the dog coming in front of Bhagavan Ramchandra, and in the Uttarkand of Ramayana, where he says, in my previous life, I was the pontiff of a matha, of a religious institution. In this life, I have become a dog. So that pastime should be heard by everybody. And therefore, religious institutions, especially in today's age, should be fully transparent about their financial transactions if they want to remain dharmic. And if they don't want to keep all their resources dharmic, then it is up to them. Then they take the money, they take the results. That is up to them. So, yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. You do as you want. But let me say one thing. Recently, once again, I am repeating, recently, one of the biggest religious institutions in India came under heavy criticism for financial fraud. All religious institutions should learn from this. To think that we are above the law is false. The biggest religious institution in India came under the purview of law just recently. Every religious institution should learn from this and keep their financial records transparent. That is the best policy in today's day and age, especially when people's faith in religious institutions is going down because of such negative incidents. Let us set a good example so that people will have faith in us. So that is what can be said.
Thank you very much. Next we have Sakala Subhag Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas.
Hi, both
Pranam,
Sakala Subhag Prabhu. Hope you're doing well.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm doing well, Prabhu. Prabhu, I just want to clarify this question that I'm curious to know why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned na dhanam na janam. Rather directly, he can mention take as much as you need directly in the verse. Maybe I just want to understand some thoughts on that point.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not mention, justified dhana, justified jana? Because when you are, especially when you are speaking from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you see from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's point of view, he is speaking in the mood of Sri Radha. In the mood of Sri Radha, which is the mood of Mahabhav, there is absolutely no need for social considerations of dhanaṁ, janam, sundarīṁ, etc. But when the same instruction comes down to the general society, there is definitely a need of adjusting that particular instruction so that people can relate to that instruction. Otherwise, if we apply the instruction as it is, na dhanam, na janam, the moment in the morning assembly in the temple it is said, na dhanam, na janam, somebody should say, now today we will not collect donations and today we will not go out for preaching. Why? Because we just said, na dhanam, na janam. Isn't it? So that is not how an instruction which is spoken in the mood of Sri Radha becomes applicable to the general society. Since we are taking the instruction and applying it to the general devotee society, a readjustment of the instruction is definitely necessary. And I have not only have I have also said in the immediate associates of Mahaprabhu also, they did not take the instruction literally. And I gave examples of those associates who did not take the instruction literally. Literally, only Mahaprabhu can take that instruction. Only Mahaprabhu can take that instruction. And I am giving another example of this. In the final verse of Siksastakam, it says, Ashlishya va padaratam. Padaratam. Ratam is feminine gender, not masculine gender. Adarshanan marmahatam karotuva. Marmahatam is again feminine gender, not masculine gender. So who is speaking the verse, Sakal Subhak Prabhu? Is a male, somebody in masculine ego speaking the verse, or somebody in feminine ego speaking the final verse? Please tell me.
Someone in the feminine ego speaking the verse.
So how can people apply it, those who are still affected by the masculine ego? Obviously, some readjustment is needed. So just as readjustments are needed for those verses, similarly, some readjustment is needed so that the verse can become relevant for us. Otherwise, the verse will lose complete relevance for us and it will become impractical for us. That is the reason why readjustments are done. And readjustments have also been done by previous acharyas. I'll give you an example. When Sri Rupa Goswami says, Smartavyah Satatam Vishnu, always remember Krishna. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Satatam Prati Aham, Natu Pratikshanam. Constantly means at least once a day. Doesn't mean literally at every moment. Why? Tasya asadhyatvena. It is impossible for the sadhak to remember constantly, because 6 hours at least he will sleep. 5-6 hours he will sleep. So it is impossible for the new practitioner to do that. So Sakal Subhak Prabhu, don't acharyas make the instruction, don't they relativize the instruction for us? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, yes.
So similarly, this instruction is also in need of relativization. Otherwise, a jiva who is not on the level of realization of Sri Radha will not be able to find relevance in this shloka which is spoken in the mood of Sri Radha. That is the short and sweet answer to your query. Right.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It makes sense. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I had the same question actually, even about Trinada Pisanijena. So it's applicable there too.
Yes.
Next we have Kriparam Prabhu.
Oh, Jai.
Dandavad Hari Parshad Prabhu, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, all Vaisnavas. In relation of Rajasthan, a lot of devotees in Western countries, we don't birth in a Brahman family, but we develop gradually this quality of a Brahman. But a lot of people work in many things that is not relation with the Brahmin labors. And the Bhagavatam says in the 7th chapter, 11, in the 7th canto, 11th chapter, engage in the service of Lord great person, however, is called Swavriti, the profession of the dogs. And when the devotees listen this or read this in the Bhagavatam, they feel so depression because a lot of devotees in our community, they need to work for Antiayas, not for another kind of people. How to reconcile it or help the devotees to understand this situation?
Wonderful. So I will just summarize your query. Especially in the Western world, you have to work under people who are not so cultured in the outside world, and Shastra says that working under a low class person is Shvavritti, the occupation of a dog. One should not do that. And when devotees hear that, they become depressed. How should we reconcile? See, the thing is, the Shastra gives some very strict instruction and it makes us feel depressed. And sometimes a little depression is also good, because if Shastra encourages it, then people will say, wonderful, this is the thing we wanted to, this is what we should be doing. So it's necessary to give a little bit of depression. Sri Rupa Goswami also got depressed because he was staying in India, born in a Brahmin family, and he's working under Nawab Hussain Shah. So circumstances forced him to work under Nawab Hussain Shah. He was not born in the Western world. He's born in India. He's born in a Brahmin family. Still, he has to work under Nawab Hussain Shah. But Sri Rupa Goswami also feels that pinch that, oh, I'm working under a person who's not such a high class person. That pinch is good as long because it helps you develop the desire that someday I have to come out of the influence of this person. I should not always remain under the influence of this person. Not only that, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas also, there is that particular verse. Not only does the Srimad Bhagavatam say, the Hari Bhakti Vilas also says, Seva Shvavritti Yairukta Naitai Samyak Udahritam Swachandachari Kutrashva Vikritasu Kwa Sevakaha. I will try to find out that particular verse. It is in the 9th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas. I am sharing my screen, and devotees can have a look with what Hari Bhakti Vilas says. I am sharing this screen. Here it is, 9th chapter. Taduktam, it is said, Seva Shvavritti Yairukta. Those who say that Seva, serving a low class person, is Shvavritti, the life of a dog. The verse surprises us by saying, Na samyak tair udahritam. They are not speaking correctly. Why? Swachanda charitah kvashva. How can you compare a happy, free roaming dog with Vikritasu kvasevaka, with a servant who has sold his life heirs? At least the dog is free to roam on the streets happily. This servant is more miserable than that free roaming dog. So this is Shastra is giving this heavy statement in the 9th Vilas of Hari Bhakti Vilas. But the reason being, I have specified this previously. There is a principle of Mimamsa. Nahi ninda nindyam ninditum prayujyate. Tad itarasya prashamsitum. Ninda in Shastra, criticism in Shastra is not to critique the negative, but to praise the opposite or positive. This principle of Mimamsa I have specified. So whenever devotees get into some depressed state of mind because Shastra is, criticizing, we should remind them that nahi ninda nindyam ninditum prayujyate. This is a principle of Mimamsa. I will try to find the exact quote. I have specified this a few times that criticism is not to make you feel lowly. Criticism is to glorify the opposite. That is the reason why Shastra is doing this thing. So I will try to find that. But Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, I hope that answers your query, Prabhu, to some degree of satisfaction.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
So there's the Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. I wanted to show for Anang Mohan Prabhu's query a much better word for remuneration. So I want to show that now.
Excellent.
Here it is. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, please read the word and the translation.
Honorarium.
Yeah.
A payment made for someone's professional services when no particular amount is charged for those services.
Oh, wonderful. And please see the example sentence.
We pay an honorarium of
Rupees.
5,000 rupees to all our guest lecturers.
This is what is much better than remuneration. This term is much better than remuneration, because remuneration still has that you're paying something fixed. Much better term is honorarium. I lost this term. I'm happy I found it again. So devotees can remember this term, and if I forget, they can remind me. This term is very nice, honorarium. Honorarium is a very dignified term. When you invite somebody for a Bhagavad Katha, say we are giving an honorarium. We are giving them. It also has that honor factor in it. It also has that voluntary factor in it. And then it is not it's not a salary-based relationship. So an honorarium is a much more dignified English term rather than saying we are giving a remuneration. Because remuneration is we are paying you for something you did. It's much better to say we are giving an honorarium, which makes it look dignified and elevated, and it's voluntary. So I hope that, how does that term sound?
Very nice. It reminds me of how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would choose very nice terms in English also. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Next we have Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai Ho. Hari Bol. Oh, he got muted.
Oh, sorry. I think there you go.
Sorry, I had to miss the initial part of the class today due to some unavoidable services, but I think I got most of it. Prabhuji, my question is, I'll be short and sweet. We have this new concept, the modern concept of insurance, and I wanted to get your perspective on that, since there was a lot of discussion on wealth comes by its own, and then risky investments versus safe investments, and insurance makes sort of risky investments safe, etc., etc. And not just about investments, but in many cases, insurance is for not just investments, but health insurance or home insurance against earthquakes or burning down the home, etc. So on one end, we can say that we just depend on Bhagwan for everything, and that's great, very high level of surrender. But what should we, on the other end, some reasonable level of purchasing insurance, which also costs a lot, especially in this country, health insurance, if it's not paid by the employer and if you don't have Medicare, it's almost as much as one's entire salary. Can you share something about it? Should we just say that, okay, whatever happens to me, I will tolerate?
Sure. So a very simple thing about insurance is that when we look at the entire concept of insurance, there is no gambling involved in it, because you are not gambling money. You are not putting money in order to get more money out of it. People are not using it as a money-making scheme. The concept of investing money so that it can be used in times of emergency has existed since beginningless time. Shri Rupa Goswami gave a certain amount of money with a money lender to be used for emergency. Today you can call it insurance. In other words, he used it as insurance money. It was used to free Sanatan Goswami from the prison. It was used as bribing money to free Sanatan Goswami from the prison when Sanatan Goswami most needed it. So Shri Rupa Goswami also invested some money so that it can be used later. What an insurance company does is it takes money from thousands of people, and it knows that only a few hundred people will face a difficulty. So the rest of the money can be used by us as income. That is what an insurance company does. But from a person who's purchasing insurance, is just depositing money so that it can be used in cases of emergency. There is no scope of gambling involved. And because there is no gambling involved in the whole thing, and because Kali Yuga means you get a negative reaction when you indulge in gambling, therefore the whole transaction is free from the spirit of gambling. And therefore, it is not in the purview of adharma. Since it is not in the purview of adharma, there is no negative reaction you are going to get in it. It may not be dharma, but neither is it adharma. That is what I have to say. It is neither dharma, neither is it adharma. So devotees.
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
So devotees who wish to take it can optionally take it, just as Sri Rupa Goswami did it for his emergency purposes.
Yes, it's clear that it's not adharma, but where should one draw the line in terms of purchasing excess insurance versus, this question was more on that regard, not about whether it is adharmic. Sorry, I didn't clarify it.
So purchasing excess insurance, a devotee has to determine, because every
excess
devotee
or none at all or very minimal. I mean, it's not about excess. Yes, the swa, whatever is for one's own, one should determine. But
different devotees have different needs. Some devotees know that they're going to have health challenges because they have some genetic diseases. They should definitely invest in health insurance. Some devotees know that, my home is situated in a place where it is very risky. My home can be taken away by flood at any point of time. They should definitely invest in home insurance. Some devotees are not very good at driving. They know my car can be totaled at any point of time. They should invest. In general, you can purchase insurance for the basic necessities which you need on a day-to-day basis. And on top of that, if you are purchasing insurance for very small things like your phone or like that is optional. There is no adharma involved in it. A devotee can decide for themselves, because these things neither fall in the purview of dharma nor in the purview of adharma. Yes, if it is disturbing, if too much thought of insurance is disturbing your bhakti, then perhaps you can reduce the temperature of that entire which insurance I should purchase, which insurance I should not purchase, and give it to some insurance advisor so that somebody else can take the headache on your behalf. Main aim is you should have time free for your bhakti so that you can carry out your bhajan nicely without any disturbances. Especially in cases of insurance, Shastra does not give a very definitive line, because it is not neither in the purview of dharma nor in the purview of adharma. The only recommendation I can give is do something which doesn't take away a lot of your time in planning and maintaining that insurance. That's the general recommendation I can give at this point of time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very clear.
Next, we have a question from Premananda Prabhu. He says, what if we inherited money, but the forefathers earned it in adharmic ways? Is the inheritance still dharmic?
The forefathers earned it in adharmic way. The karma comes to the karta. The karma comes to the doer. So it is in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 factors of action given. Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham. So that I will share that particular verse. This is 18.14 of Bhagavad Gita, where it says, Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhas cha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. So the place of action, which is the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are 5 factors of any action, any karma. Now, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, amongst these 5, which one receives the reaction?
The karta.
The karta.
The doer.
The doer. That performer is the one who receives the negative. Neither the super soul receives, neither the body receives, neither the different kinds of endeavor. The person who is the performer is the one who receives the negative reaction. So similarly, if somebody else has performed a negative karma, but because they have passed it on as generational wealth to us, we are aware that it has come through negative means, what we can do is we can try to purify that wealth by giving a significant portion of it in charity to eligible people, so that the person who performed the negative karma, the ancestor who performed the negative karma, is relieved somewhat, or gets some pious reactions, or is relieved somewhat of the negative reactions. Personally, since it has come as inheritance to us, we are doing the best we can in order to utilize that particular wealth in a dharmic way, give a significant portion of it to religious causes, to the dharmic causes, and purify the wealth. The rest of it can be used as one's inheritance. That is what can be said in this regard.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Bhagavat Kata Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. I have one question regarding Shubhashita. You quoted Vayavruddha, Tapavruddha, Jnanavruddhascha ye pare. Te sarve dhanavruddhasya dwari tishtanti kinkara. I just want to have one clarification. Is it mainly applicable in this current age? As you said previously, in this age, all Varnashram is completely hodgepodge. So previously, one who is practicing dharma of what, tapa, jnana, whatever. So actually, the whole society is generally automatically, the system is so perfect that they always get their needs without going to beg as kinkara, as servant. Is it Is the understanding correct?
Even in
Especially
previous,
here,
even in previous ages, people had to approach rich people in order to, uh, beg for money. And this, it is no exception that, people, even in previous ages, people had to approach rich people for begging for money, because it is, there are statements in the Srimad Bhagavatam where it specifies how even the people of the previous ages spoke. I am sharing some verses from the Bhagavatam, Prabhu. You read the translation. This is 9.18.15. Please read the translation.
Sudhir Goswami said, when thus rebuked in cruel words, Sarmishta was very angry, breathing heavily like a serpent and biting her lower lip with her teeth. She spoke to the daughter of Shukracharya as follows.
And what did she say? Please read.
You beggar, since you don't understand your position, why should you unnecessarily talk so much? Don't all of you wait at our home, depending on us for your livelihood like crows?
So, you please tell me whether it is applicable only in Kali Yuga or in all Yugas. Yes. It is generally it's applicable.
In this case,
It is generally applicable. It is applicable in all the ages. Even Dronacharya, you can see the history of Dronacharya before he became the royal teacher of Hastinapur. He was in a terrible position financially. Terrible position financially. And he had to go seek wealth from one person to another person. But when he appeared at the doorstep of Hastinapur, all his financial requirements were taken care of. So, Vayo Vriddhas, Tapo Vriddha, Jnana Vriddhas ye pare, te sarve dhana vriddhasya dwari tishtanti kinkara. Therefore, it is a general principle applicable to all the ages. Previously also, poor people had to go to rich people in order to beg. But there were some poor people who did not want to do that. So they used to do Shiloncha Vritti. Shiloncha Vritti, the Shiloncha Vritti, that whatever is remaining in the field after the birds have also eaten, after the animals have also eaten, after the grain has been collected, whatever little grains remain, you collect that because nobody will oppose that, and you cook that and you survive on that. That is how you ensure that you don't stay on the door of a rich person. Shiloncha Vritti was the previous Yuga's answer to not standing on the door of a rich person. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Next we have Sachinandana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranam to Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu and Hari Parshad Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class, especially on this practical topic. And my question, Prabhuji, is there's two verses that came to mind. One is the Bhagavad Gita verse where Krishna, he says, Shuchinam Shrimatam, where he says basically an unsuccessful devotee or someone who has not made it to the stage of prema, he gives some categories of birth, and he says one of them is a aristocratic family. And it seems, per my understanding, that's sort of like the second level. The first level is someone who gets born into devotee association. And then I'm thinking of this verse in the Bhagavatam also, which Krishna says, like, those who I'm most merciful on, I take away their dhana. And to me, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's almost like levels where, you were unsuccessful, you did only a little practice. So at least you get into a aristocratic family where maybe you can perform nicely or you have some freedom of mind there. But then it's like at the higher stages, like the example, of course, you give Raghunath Das Goswami, etc. Then it's almost like he takes it away. So I'm trying to understand this in practical reality. So, Hare Krishna.
So actually, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Abhijayate. I will pull out that verse where any person who has fallen from any system of yoga, not just bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, jnana yoga, shuchinam shrimatam, first prapya punya kritam lokan, first he enjoys in higher planets, ushitva shashvati sama, having spent many years, shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto vijayate, then yoga brashta, a person who is unsuccessful in any system of yoga, takes birth. Srila Sridhar Swami and other commentators say this is for the person who has fallen after little practice of yoga. So this is for that particular person. For a person who has practiced for prolonged duration, whose interest is not in going to higher planets and who is naturally having no interest in wealth, for him, Bhagavan doesn't make him wait. Athva yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam. This is the higher level for yoginam eva kule. He takes birth in a family of the yogis who are expert in practicing that particular yoga. But etadhi durlabhataram loke janma. But this sort of a birth is rarest of rare. Yadidirshan, this sort of a birth. That previous birth of wealthy family is easier. But this birth in a yogi family, and yogi family means your family is really those who have attained perfection. They know what doubts remain in your mind, what needs to be resolved. In the very beginning of your life, they resolve it and you progress on the path. So, yogi kula, that is the sort of family you take. But that such a family is also very rare, and the birth in such a family is also very rare. This is the higher level. Now, even at this level, a devotee or a yogi is not interested in wealth so much. So, but there are some cases in which a person is not on this level. He is progressing, but Bhagavan takes away his wealth. That is, yasya aham anugrihnami, upon whom I become causelessly merciful. Harishe tad dhanam, I take away his wealth. Now devotees get a little scared, but Bhagavan says, Shanai, I gradually take away his wealth. I don't immediately take away his wealth. That Shanai is often missed. So I will show that particular verse. So in 1088.8, Yasyaham anugrihnami harishye tad dhanam Shanai. Shanai is what is there. And you can see Shanai here means it gradually. It's not that you lose it in a single instance. So this is what Bhagavan does. Gradually takes it away, gradually takes it away, gradually takes it away. And then people also leave him. And then gradually he becomes affected by miseries and that remaining attachment goes away. So this is what it is. A classic example of this is Avanti Brahmana. So please remember, classic example of this Avanti. His wealth was taken away, some by relatives, some by government, some by fire. So Shanai, gradually Bhagavan took it away. It is not a single shot relieving of money. That is not how it happens. Shanai, gradually Bhagavan takes it away through various sources. When Bhagavan is taking it away, he realizes it is Bhagavan who is taking it away. That time he realizes this is Bhagavan taking it away from these sources. But then he becomes dukkha dukkhitam because his relatives have left him. So he suffers one distress after. Because why? Because the distress is because my relatives left me in such a condition. Actually, nobody belongs to me. That is his dukkha. His dukkha is not that I lost my money, how will I earn it? Is that in times of distress, there was nobody standing with me. And then this, you see the example of Avanti Brahman. Avanti Brahman's distress is not how I will earn my money back. Avanti Brahman's distress is when I am in difficulty, financial difficulty. These people threw me out of the home, and nobody was with me. And then Avanti Brahman says, after some suffering, Avanti Brahman says, Bhagwan was merciful on me, so he put me in this condition. So the thing to be noted about this verse is it happens gradually. The devotee realizes it midway, and the devotee becomes happily situated in his relationship with Bhagavan after this happens. So this is all the three verses that you specified. I have put them in their proper context. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction. Right? Thank you. Okay.
Next we have Ananga Mohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanapad. Thank you for giving me the chance. Prabhuji, this was the extension to my previous question. Suppose some devotee is there and he is completely relying on the devotional service, Katha, Kirtan and all, for his maintenance and survival. So when he's doing this, and often we find acharyas criticize that the professional reciter should not be encouraged to be heard by the devotees. And he is maintaining himself on the basis of these aspects. So this was my question. So how in this case we harmonize professional recitations and he is a devotee himself?
Okay, see, there is a difference. When you say professional, a professional is by definition somebody who charges a fixed amount for a fixed service. That is what you call a professional. Tomorrow, if I go in any field of work in the world outside and I say I will work for this particular organization or company, they will ask me how much salary do you want? The first one of the most important questions asked in an interview is how much salary do you want? If I tell them whatever you want to pay, you pay. If I say like this, whatever you want to pay, you pay. They will say, please speak professionally. How much fixed salary do you want? That is what a professional is. A professional is somebody who expects a fixed salary, a fixed remuneration in exchange for a fixed service. That is what a professional is. A person who renders a service but does not expect anything fixed is called a volunteer, is not a professional. So we need to distinguish between those who are volunteering for seva and those who are taking it professionally. Those who are taking it professionally are taking fixed money in exchange for the services they render. That is who we call a professional. And those who are not charging anything fixed, they are not professionals, they are volunteers. Even in Shastra, there is a difference between Acharya and Upadhyaya. And Acharya does not charge a fixed amount for teaching anything. And Upadhyaya charges a fixed amount for teaching something. So there's a distinction between Acharya and Upadhyaya, and Acharya is therefore considered on a higher level because he doesn't charge a fixed amount. Now, in the professional world, when you don't charge a fixed, if you don't charge a fixed amount, they'll say you are unprofessional because you don't charge a fixed amount. So where the very definition of volunteer work is that it is non-professional, it is non-professional service. And non-professional service does not fall under the category of fixed salary or professional work. It falls under the category of voluntary service, and the money which is given should thus be called honorarium. It should not be called salary. So that relieves it from all the considerations that negative considerations that previous acharyas have done for it. Because here a person is not certain whether I will get X amount of money or not. So he is not dependent on a fixed salary, he is dependent on Bhagavan. Bhagavan wants to give, he will give. Bhagavan doesn't want to give, will not give. So that is not called as professional. That is called as a volunteer who is rendering some seva. And then we should give honorarium. Honorarium means he honored us because he did not charge anything fixed for his seva. He gave a fixed seva, but he did not expect anything. He honored us. In return, we should also do something. What should we do, Anang Prabhu? We should
reciprocate accordingly.
We should honor him. And what do you call it when you give something as an honorarium? So this terminology needs to be understood and introduced. For long, I wanted to speak on this. It is not incorrect to receive an honorarium. Didn't Srila Prabhupada say that we should charge some amount, we should not give things for free? Hasn't Srila Prabhupada said that we should charge for the lectures? There are many quotations by Prabhupada, we should charge for the lectures. But then we can ask Prabhupada, on one side you say that you should not be a professional. On another side you say, oh, you should charge for the lectures. How can both things go together? They can go together. If you don't charge a fixed amount, then it is called an honorarium. That is what can be said, right? So I hope that answers the query.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'll need to wrap up soon.
Sure.
Is Paramakaruna Prabhu available?
Oh, I'm available if he's not.
Okay. I'll read another question from the chat. Divyangi Lalita Mataji asks, For charity, besides giving to spiritual causes, is it recommended to give charity to needy non-devotees also? Sometimes the argument is made that since non-devotees' lifestyle may be adharmic, we are indirectly supporting adharma.
See, if you are suspicious about somebody using your money for adharmic purposes, instead of giving money, give resources to the poor people. But give, please give to the poor people. It is recommended by Sri Jiva Goswami in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I am showing the direct commentary of Sri Jiva Goswami from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sri Jiva Goswami is quoting, is saying that Tasya Bhinna Drisho Mritu Vidadhe Bhayamulbanam. I am quoting that particular verse and the commentary of Sri Jiva Goswami on that particular verse. I am sharing that verse so that we all can have a look on that particular verse. Let me share my screen so that we can all see. This is 3.29.26 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Kapil Muni is saying, Atmanascha parasyapi yah karoti antarodaram tasya bhinna drisho mrityur vidadhe bhayamulmanam. Yah karoti antarodaram, one who differentiates between parasya, somebody else, and atmana, himself, one who differentiates between himself and others. Antarodaram, one who differentiates. Tasya bhinna drisho, to such a separatist. Mrityur vidadhe bhayamulbanam. I bestow death and I bestow suffering upon such an individual. Sri Jiva Goswami, in his Krama Sandarbha commentary upon this verse, says, Swakarma purvakam archanam kurvam. So you are doing your, archana, you're worshipping Bhagwan, by performing your karma nicely, but bhuta dayam vina na siddhyati. If you don't have mercy on the ordinary living entities, your bhakti will not fructify. So you need to have mercy on the ordinary living entities. And he says, Tatascha kshritadikam api drishtva. If you see on seeing that some person is hungry, if you don't feed him, swa udaradikam evam kevalam sambibharti. You only feed yourself, but you don't feed the poor person. Tasya bhinna drisho, for such a separatist, mrityu rupoham, I am death, ulbanam bhayam sansaram. I cause him to repeat his birth and death in the material world. Very clearly, Sri Jiva Goswami says in this commentary, with that, Vaishnav should be merciful to the living entities in general. And there is an incident where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was going with his Grihastha disciples. It was outside Jagannath Puri temple or somewhere. And the Grihasthas were not giving charity to the poor people. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada made a remark how hard-hearted these people have become. That they, although they are sampattiman grihasthas, they are grihasthas, but they don't give charity to the poor people. How hard-hearted these Vaishnavas have become. So we should definitely give charity to poor people. If we don't trust them with money, at least we can trust them with resources. Give them food so that they can eat nicely, so that they can cover themselves nicely. Every grihastha who has wealth should utilize their wealth in such a manner. Poor people should be served. This is the instruction of the previous acharyas. So I hope that answers the query. All right. Next is Onkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Prabhuji, my question was regarding this point, whether a person is accepting dana for a specific seva or a service, let us say like DT seva, but the DT seva has already been sponsored and the money is being used in some other seva or maybe for some other purposes. So is it a kind of cheating we are doing because the person has basically given it for a specific seva?
So if a particular religious institution knows that this is going to be the case, then they should make the donor aware in advance that in case your money is not utilized for this seva, it will be used for some other seva. It should be made, it should be told to them in advance. Then the religious institution does not incur a fault.
Okay, bro. Thank you, bro. Pranams.
Okay, query by Vrajraj Gopal Prabhu. Vrajraj Gopal Prabhu. Yes. You wanted to ask something, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The second question that I wanted to ask was, it feels very hard to draw a line between dharmic and adharmic sources of earning. One can have a business which, for all intents and purposes, is to make money and feed one's family, maybe serve devotees. But there are many processes within running that business which involve doing things which are either gray or sometimes black. And so I can't look at any one business and say, oh, this is a dharmic business or this is an adharmic business. So what are some boundary conditions to know that we are doing things dharmically, or a more straightforward question, if say we are running a business and doing tons of things just to ensure the business is running and making profits, if the profits are offered later, some section of it to Bhagavan, does that make the entire process now dharmic, even if there was some exploitation, some, bribery, whatever? Yeah.
See, in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, Vanijya, business itself is said as Satya Anrita. Satya Anrita means half truth, half lies. Business involves half truths, half lies. It is not 100% clean, but it is allowed in Shastra that you speak half truth, half lies. But those who are Vaishnava should at least ensure that there is no direct involvement of the devotee in breaking the 4 regulative principles in the business. There is no direct involvement of that particular devotee in breaking the 4 regulative principles. If that is ensured, other smaller things such as speaking a lie or sometimes taking an extra profit, Shastra understands that they are part of running a business. As long as it doesn't involve mass scale animal slaughter, it doesn't involve prostitution, it doesn't involve selling liquor and wine directly to others. So all those things put a direct impact on the person who's selling it. But if these are not involved, then some minor discrepancies are understood and accepted by Shastra. Satyanritabhyam, 7th canto says, half truth, half lies. It is part of every business. So that is understood. But a businessman should definitely purify their wealth. And the way of purifying that wealth is by giving charity to appropriate people and to proper, honest religious institutions. Such charity should be given in order to purify that. Otherwise, there is no harm in small incorrect practices which are part of each and every business. Shastra understands and accepts it. That is okay.
What is this verse? The verse number?
I will point it out. Actually, in the translation, it has not come out literally, but I will. Here it is. I'm sharing the screen. You can see 7, 11, 18. Satya Anritabhyam. Right? Now, you please tell me what is the meaning of Satya?
Truth.
And what is the meaning of Anrita? Anrita you may not be knowing. It is a rarely used word. But Anrita means falsities. So what is the meaning of Satya and Anrita?
Truth and falsities.
Yeah. So this is how a business is run. Satya Anrita. Half truth, half lies. That is how every business is run. Shastra understands and accepts this. But as long as there is no direct breaking of 4 regulative principles, minor discrepancies are allowed. But purification of wealth is expected from a businessman. That I will say. Right? Thank you. Okay. Sachindra Prabhu. Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavats pranams to all Vaishnavas. It's so nice to see you back in your town and with good health. We missed you at ISB this year, but next year we will definitely make it happen. So happy to see you. I have to still listen to a lot of the lecture. but I listened to the Q&A pretty extensively. And one of my questions is, it becomes very complicated with all of these, who are dharmic and adharmic, and a lot of the institutions that we are aware of have a long way to go in creating a transparent system. But as sadhakas, we give with an open and pure heart, hoping that everything is dharmic. And if we give with that intent and not taking the other considerations, whether they actually are, doing it in a, legitimate way, or, have some elements of, issues of that, is that still okay? Is that considered, or do we have to do more due diligence and say, wait, where is it going and so forth? You're not transparent. Should we do all of that, or should we just give it freely with a pure heart? And is that, considered okay?
So the question is that with many religious institutions not really living up to the standard that is given in Shastra, but our intent is pure, should we still go ahead and not care so much for the of how a religious institution uses it? That is one way to look at it. But Bhagavad Gita also tells us that ideal charity is given to a proper patra, proper recipient. And this is Gita where Bhagavan says, दातव्यम इति यद दानम दीयते अनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च. Desh, Kal, and Patra, the time, place, and the receiver should be checked properly. This is where Shastra puts the responsibility upon us. Before you give, check the receiver properly. If you know that the receiver is going to misuse your money, why not give to a receiver who will not misuse it? Rather, because the aim of giving is so that it should be utilized properly for the sake of dharma. So this is the verse in which Shastra places the responsibility upon us for checking. Despite this, some people may want to give because they feel attached to a particular, place or a particular temple. That's up to them. But Shastra does ask us to be careful about the receiver and to ensure that the receiver is properly utilizing the money that has been given. And therefore, I said, if we are doubtful about money, we can always give resources, grains, because grains have to be used quickly. You can't store them for a long time. Give grains, give vegetables, give sugar, give salt, give resources, because those resources can rarely be misused. They have to use it in feeding somebody. So I always recommend individuals. One time an individual asked me, should I give to this Goshala some money? And if you're doubtful about it, instead of giving money, you give some resources. Give some fodder for the cows, so that at least you are sure that the cows will consume that fodder. So in this way we can do, but it is our responsibility. Shastra says patra. We should check the receiver before we give something. And it is also the responsibility of the religious institutions to maintain transparency, especially in a day and age when people's faith over religious institutions is dwindling because of repeated cases of financial fraud. It is therefore the responsibility also of religious institutions to ensure that transparency is maintained. And let me tell you, there are many religious institutions who are doing it today. There's not that everybody is a fraud. There are many who are keeping all financial transactions transparent. So if many can do it, then everybody can do it. But it depends on the intent of the people who are running that religious institution. So that is what I'd like to say, Prabhuji. I hope that satisfies your query.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So we have reached the end of it, and I'm very thankful that our devotees asked all these wonderful queries. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu, I don't know if Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu Prabhu is there or not, but once again, thank you. Param Karuna Prabhu is here.
Yes.
Jai Ho.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually here.
Oh, Jai Ho. So
Can I help?
Prabhu, yeah, we need to conclude. It's all the Q&A is
Okay.
done.
All right. Thank you so much for all your wonderful questions and answers, everyone. I'm especially grateful for your patience with me. If I'm inconsistent or unfair or mistaken in my presumptions, I really appreciate your forgiveness. Just trying to do a service here. So thank you again, everyone, for being here, and thank you especially to Hari Parshad Prabhu for such a wonderful and enlightening class. You want to say bye-bye, Ranga? Bye. Let's all give a big thank you to Hari Pārṣada Prabhu. I will invite everyone to unmute.
Thank you,
Hari
Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhattari Prasad,
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much,
Bachab.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila
Krishna
Prabhupada ki
Hare,
jai.
Krishna
Srila
Krishna,
Prabhupada ki
Hare
jai.
Hare.
Srila
Thank you so
Prabhupada
much,
ki
bro.
jai.
We love you.
Rama Rama
We
Rama.
love you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai Srila
Hare
Thank
Prabhupada.
you, everyone. We
Jai
look
Srila
forward to see
Prabhupada.
you soon.
Jai
Hare
Srila
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. Thank you so much for wonderful.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.